That was weird. Don't know why the music decides to do that sometimes. Sometimes it's just to act a fool. But not me. I never act a fool. Hey folks, how you doing? It's Not Act a Fool Monday, and I'm your host, Not Act a Fool, Space Tomato. Let's get it on. No, how's it going, everybody? Welcome. It's kind of chilly today, so I got the robe on. I hope you don't mind. It is staying nice and cozy in here because our radiators aren't exactly working for whatever reason. I'll have to investigate, detectivate, but instead, I'm just getting all warm and cozy. So I hope you guys don't mind. Maybe it is cold where you are, and you can join me in Robe Town. But it's gonna be this kind of energy for the rest of the day. How y'all doing though? How was your weekend? Welcome back. What's up, D2D? RRE, Space Jones, P Bond. Sound like a musical group. I love it. Like we're about to drop our first album. Yo, what's up? Unloading Whale. That's the lead acapella. Unloading Whale. Does a lot of solos on the side. Pungy Toes Gang, how you doing? Welcome. Cotton, good to see you. C McD. Hello, Cat Mom, Shemp Pasta. My friends, my people, family, my garden. What's up, everybody? Mrs. Tomato dropping the fish in chat. The classic from the first week. Jedi Drifter, what's up? How you doing? We're reaching comfy levels previously thought impossible. The comf is through the roof. We're getting crowshawed. And it's feeling good. You're a fool, but you're not acting, though. Here's my phone number. Psych, that's the wrong number. You guys, somebody knows that reference, right? Somebody's got to know that one. If not, that's okay. I'll enjoy it myself. I wonder if I can play that on here without getting in trouble for copyright. Your GPU's running AI heats up your room to 27 degrees Celsius. This thing sounds like it's pumping plenty of heat out here, so I might take this thing off at some point. But at least for now, it is chilly. It's chilly on the nips, and I'm trying to stay warm, so we're keeping the robe on. The door's closed, the computers are blasting heat. It's basically a kebab oven in here right now. But we're starting up. It's gonna take a little while. 07's Brandon. How you doing? Francesco Moo. Moo cow. What's up? Mama didn't raise no fool. I hope not. That's why you're here, right? Mama was like, Sonny, someday you're gonna be out there, you're gonna see some tomato. It's not gonna make any sense, but that tomato is gonna be talking about space. Go hop in that Twitch chat. Go say what's up. Go say hi. Promise it's destiny. Mommy was right. She was a good teacher. She brought you to the garden. We got the call to prayer anytime soon. Wouldn't be the same stream without it. Oh, he's gonna. It's always no more than a couple hours away. So don't worry. I'm sure we'll have one. In fact, I'll crack the window. Let's make sure. There we go. Now we know when it's coming. If the window's closed, I can never hear when it's coming. You know, you can kind of, when like the difference between this and this, I guess you can't really tell because the music's running, but like, you know how you can tell when somebody turns a microphone on, but they haven't started talking through it yet? You can hear that. It's kind of funny because I always expect something different. Like the microphone turns on, but instead of this dude doing the call to prayer, it's just like somebody's just like, Mom? Hello? Like, is anybody here? But it never is. That I definitely see that happening in America, but never happens here. It's unfortunate. 07's all confirmed, by the way. It is a super cold in the house right now. I'm under 2 blankets. Oh, she got 2? No fair. Got the doggo with you for extra warmth. If only the dog. She's definitely an outside dog. Holy crap! If she was in the living room, she would mess things up. That girl she's so wild. She's funny. Match made in heaven. Tomatoes in space. Exactly. Depa, coming in here with the immediate super chats. $10. Thank you. Much appreciated. How you doing? How was your weekend? It's cold, but you just opened the window. What the heck? I gotta hear the call to prayer, Punch. All right? Don't get your toes in socks, okay, man? Chuckles the Bad Clown said, what's the temperature there in Fahrenheit? Fahrenheit. I think I got that on my phone. I don't. Why don't we look it up together? Actually, no, because that's just going to tell you exactly where I am. Temperature in this place is... Why did it show me... Wow, did I really spell it that wrong that I thought I was trying to say Delhi? It's showing it to me in Celsius. 62. It's 62 right now. It's actually not that cold. Enough that, you know, got the slippers on, got the robe on. Driving to work, woot woot. Depa, yo, does that mean you are super chatting while driving? Be careful, my friend, but also thank you. I hope you have a decent time at work today. A good time at work, actually. Why'd I say decent? You want to have a great time at work. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't just jinx it. Shemp, thanks for the resub up. 8 months now. It's almost a Twitch baby time. Appreciate you. Toes in a twist, a tasty treat for tomato breakfast in bed only fans. Tomato twists. Oh, no, toe twists. Sounds like some kind of new disturbing puff pastry that we made in the kitchen, in the lab. The tomato toe twists. Ugh. But it's like one of those dinner time puff pastries with like marinara sauce, a little bit of cheese, maybe a meatball inside, all twisted up in some crunchy bread. Not gonna lie, that actually sounds like a good snack. I know the conversions for the temperature. I don't know why I didn't try to use it there. I do always try to use it. The one time I don't, of course, it's on camera. What is the temperature here in Celsius? 17. Stuck in traffic, barely moving. Oh, okay. I feel that. Love that kind of vibe. Love some non-moving traffic. So anyways, folks, after a solid good, what was that? It's like 8 minutes, 10 minutes of introduction. Hi, I'm Space Tomato. Welcome to my stream. Today we're talking about Star Citizen. Bet you didn't guess that. Bet you couldn't imagine it. Never do that. Not once. Not at all. Hate that game. So really it's gonna be open forum. I went through the last 3 or so years of YouTube on their official channel and got a bunch of Star Citizen lives all queued up. We got something on VFX. Here's the USPU team. We've got EUPU team. We've got core gameplay team, which is like actor feature stuff with Rich Tyre. We've got another thing with Rich Tyre talking about actor feature, inventory, stuff like that. FPS weapons team, turrets taking off, and the ship targeting team. Talking about salvage here. Talking about more USPU stuff, all vehicles features, all audio teams features, all ships features, engine and graphics, and again, live actor feature teams. So we got a ton of content here. Got timestamps on some of them. I figure we just chat about features that we were looking forward to, that you had questions about, throw something out there. We'll look it up. We'll find out where they talk about it and listen to what the official answers are. Kind of like a summary of the past few years. And if nobody's got any questions, then you're gonna sit here and listen to me ramble about jack Star Citizen stuff, because I don't know what else to look up first, and I need you guys help. But seriously, nobody wants to hear me ramble. Somebody throw a feature out there. Let's start talking. What do you guys want to hear about? Salvage, refueling. Somebody was asking questions about the star map the other day, which unfortunately always ends at a dead end. Star map questions are just depressing. Let's talk cybernetics. Cybernetics. Oh boy, where would that be? Actor feature team? I think the only thing I've seen from cybernetics is where they talk about, what's it called? The leg and arm replacements that I pull up sometimes. But I guess that would be in the Death of a Spaceman episode, probably. Shame the states won't convert to metrics just to make life easier. Wouldn't it be nice? It was really nice. I basically switched over to the metric system because of engineering, and just was super happy to not have to go back after coming over to Turkey. But yeah, the whole let's use, what is it, imperial units over there in America is a whole bunch of nah. That's annoying. Please stop that. All right, so we're looking for Death of a Spaceman. That would be, here we are. They haven't said anything in a long time. Yeah, I can't say I remember anything about it, to be honest, other than that it might be something that happens with Death of a Spaceman. Let's see if they answer it here. Anybody says anything about cybernetics? No? Weird. Don't see any talk about limbs or cybernetics or anything like that. You need a wrench just a bit bigger than 17/64ths. What a ridiculous size. Let's talk AI. I think solo players are really going to need NPCs to crew their ships. AI is something we could talk about. You know what? Can anybody tell me what was the episode that they talked about AI blades? Was that here? We got AI and you. Was that, did I already have that pulled up? I feel like I already had that pulled up somewhere. I'm just over here duplicating tabs now. Tabs on tabs. And this is how my desktop always looks. Look at this real quick. Like all up there, all of these tabs. It's like how my desktop always looks and my wife loses it. Mrs. Tomato hates the way I keep my computer. Not in any sort of extreme way, but it definitely sends her gasping when she sees it. On the roadmap, cybernetics are part of the actor status T2 next year. Okay, so then they're probably going to be part of the actor feature team conversation. Let me see real quick if we got timestamps on that, if that comes up. And then we'll go to AI. So, mandatory equipment, weapon attachments, sustenance, inventory, armor specialization. I don't see anything about nothing about cybernetics here. It is a very niche feature. I would say probably one of the most niche feature. There's a game dev here today? No, there's not a game dev in. We're talking about the game dev. Actually, there might be a game dev in here. There's usually some game developer in the chat, but usually on the YouTube side. You think solo players need to fly solo ships or jump on ships with other solo players? So I don't think we have any sort of cybernetic stuff in here, but let's jump to the AI conversation, because that's something that we can actually dive into a little bit. And I'm just going to jump in here randomly. We don't have any highlights on here, so we can't see the specific pictures or questions. But I'm sure there's a question about crew. So let's throw the video on and see what they're talking about. See if we could find AI crew.
The subject today is AI and you. Basically, all the ways that AI is being used currently in the persistent universe, and maybe some of the things that we're working towards in the future. If you're watching live, you can submit your questions in one of two ways. You can either
lurk in occasionally. There they are. The wild game dev creeps out from under the brush.
It's going to help our community management team pull it out from the chat. You can also do the same on Spectrum. Well, you could if Spectrum was working. So we'll just stick to Twitch chat. That's what happens.
Honestly, Punji, I don't know if they're going for tier 0 anymore. Seems like they're kind of sick of that. I don't think we're gonna really see much of any new game loops that they don't talk about specifically, like a lot. Like maybe hacking might be something, but I don't think that's even going to be a full game loop.
So yeah, I mean, we had like, funny enough, like this type of bug is like visually always looks similar, right?
All right, let me find an interesting timestamp here.
It probably is one of the oldest bug we have. Like I think it's like maybe 4 years ago started to, we started to have like people standing in the chair, and the bugs that it was at that time is completely different from the bugs that we have right now. We started with having, I think one of the first one I remember was
No timestamps in these comments.
when the look pose was actually kicking in and causing the body to turn, then it would go on basically full body animation would kick in, and it would just
Hey,
We
Rotag.
have started development, and I think we're very early here.
run early. Yeah,
And
we have yeah.
We're very early. I think the guys that are working on the actual creature lore and the creature art, the concept art, are ahead of us, but that is generally a good place to be. I think the main
Are you
reason
talking about fauna?
where we are now is because we're still focusing on the human.
Yeah, it's
part of it,
priority.
which is definitely a higher priority. If this was a hunting game about hunting animals, then animals would have been our priority. But for now, we need to get.
I thought this was a hunting game.
Maybe also some of the
So I was hunting the stars.
for Squadron in a decent state before we move to this. Otherwise, we would have to create an extra team, which means we get another. We pull resources from the existing teams, and it would be a risk right now. We'd rather do one thing, do it properly, then move to the next.
Priority is always at the heart of every game development decision. It's just as no matter, even with what is now 5 studios, 6 studios around the world, 500 somewhere almost 600 people around
Priority
the world.
means
still
your favorite
a
feature.
finite number of resources and only so many things
Absolutely.
that can be worked on.
The only thing we can
Let's jump
do,
to
and this is what
the.
usually
Let's jump.
we do.
Actually, usually the good meat's in the middle. Let's see what Jared was asking in the middle of this conversation. Wow, it's a long answer.
just create this experience on the planet as well. Plus, I think this is gonna also be beneficial for every, like a critical part to have, like
Given the mass amount of work they poured into AI tech is a good indicator that NPC crews will be a viable thing later. They just need the servers to let them perform and not be dumb. Yeah. Also, gosh, like when we start talking about NPC crew, like thinking about, you need not only the ability for them to be able to take orders or understand missions or tasks, but you need the full UI to be able to assign all of those tasks and jobs and missions and stuff to these different NPCs. That kind of stuff, that's got to be so much work to do. Look at how long it takes them to get out certain UI right now. And granted, that's probably because they're just, I mean, I hate to use the word early, kind of early in that phase, I guess, of just getting a lot more of the gameplay UI related stuff supported. Mainly the UI team has just been working on the tools to make the UI rather than the UIs themselves. But still, that's a ton of UI. I mean, you're going to have to be able to select specific things for a mining NPC or a combat targeting NPC or a NPC that hauls cargo or that, uses your quantum drive and like navigates your ship. Just a lot of stuff. Do you think that the price for the Crusader Spirit will go up when they resize the ship to what it should be? I think the price will go up no matter what. It's always the cheapest when they put it out for concept. That whole thing. Yeah, there is actually years of development for someone to play Idris RimWorld in a multi-crew MMO. I just came across a Reddit thread on the Star Citizen subreddit where people were talking. Somebody posted that they just finished their 10 years. And they posted a picture of their profile, and like different people were commenting like, oh yeah, I'm part of that crew and that. And then there was like a big chain of messages of people who were just like super down about how long it's taken. Like just the fact that it will never become an actual game. And I feel bad. I feel bad for people who have that outlook, because not so much they have the outlook that the game's never going to come out. You can just tell that being the thing that they're focused on is like, means that they've already kind of given up hope on it, which I don't blame anybody for that. It is freaking 10 years is a long time. It just sucks coming at this from like a 100% just straight up point of view. It sucks to wait for something for that long, and at the end of all that time, just not have hope it's ever even going to come to fruition. And I do wish that the way that this game had developed was more friendly to the people who backed it, because that's a crappy way to feel. I mean, I personally, I don't really care per se if it ever reaches that point. I want it to really badly, but overall, I just want to get to a point where it's fun to play, and I think it'll be fun to play long before it's actually at its go live point. Regardless, I think it just sucks to be a part of a project but not have any hope for it, really. You were talking about the sheer amount of development it would take to implement NPC crews. Yeah. Just so people can live out their ship captain fantasies single player in an MMO. Yeah, it's going to be... I mean, manning a ship like the Idris is probably going to be miserable with just AI. You go crazy. We are not waiting for Star Citizen. We're playing it today. You could say that, but also we're not playing what is meant to be Star Citizen. That's what a lot of people are waiting for. How about we get turret gunners and they only target hostiles? They don't need to walk. We just pay a fee for them being on board. They don't need to walk, but they still need to... You probably have to be able to give them orders, I imagine, to some extent. Otherwise, they're just an AI blade, and they don't even need a manned turret. I think players will be able to rent ships out to others, or else we're going to have a lot of people with a bunch of ships sitting around gaining dust. Does it seem like CIG is scared to put in the second star system? They keep redoing, updating, and refreshing Stanton, but the player base has been begging for Pyro. No, I think that they just haven't had the ability technology-wise to bring Pyro in yet. Maybe not if the AI crew have only a job title as a turret gunner, it's only a turret gunner, and so on their tasks. But they have to be ordered to leave a space station or wherever it is you hire them from, enter your ship, go to a specific turret. And then, I don't know, I guess they just sit as hostile the whole time maybe. You'd have to be able to tell them not to shoot, or that they can shoot. You have to be able to tell them when they're done, where they should go when they're done. Should they be getting off the elevator on the bottom ramp? Should they be getting off the docking tube on the space station? Like, I don't know. All that stuff the AI could figure out themselves, but how? Without you telling them. You're waiting for the AI and the new bunkers. We'll see what they put in those new bunkers. Hello, Space Tomato and Mrs. Tomato. Still hopeful for both Squadron 42 and SC, but when CIG keeps expanding on ideas, I feel that the community wants something out and working, then try to do more. Yeah, so that's a way a lot of people want to kind of feel about it. CIG seems to be of this idea that the majority of the game needs to be finished before it's released, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but for MMOs that kind of makes sense, right? A lot of additional stuff comes out, but they want to get so much done beforehand so that it's all built on the same foundation. And it's got positives and negatives, but it leads to very long development time. Don't shoot unless you see that Space Tomato guy. He's smarmy. Take him out. All right, let's see what else they were saying about AI in here.
The launch of our IAE this year, some of the platform back-end service stuff wasn't quite ready to go. It wasn't quite ready for the influx of people. This is a thing that happens almost every single year. We do our best to plan for it. We do our best to prepare for it, and yet it happens. I don't have any information about the solution at the moment.
He's talking about IAE. This is like, you hear this at the beginning of every event that ever runs in Star Citizen, and I'm like, is it Invictus Week or IAE? Which one is messing up?
Are experiencing right now. Sometimes it comes up and then it goes down and whatnot. I can say that in this internal chat that I'm looking at, there's a lot of fire emoji, a lot of fire gifs. At least 3 people are drinking heavily. I don't think they're actually involved in the fix. They're just watching the people who are. And one person suggested turning the whole thing on and off again. So I assume we'll try.
Give us more answers. Here we go. This looks like another question coming up.
To a friendly NPCs, you know, somebody like kind of when we talk about, you know, crew management, is that you hire a person. It's like, well, you know, you buy a pet, and it's, you know, of course their behavior is gonna be different. You know, maybe the commands you can give them, you know, might be different. You might interact in a different way, but under the hood is really the same system. And this is where I was saying, it's like, it is cool because what we are making the same way, like when you open up the door from the vendor to do a lot of behavior, is like that opens up also a lot of other stuff from the animals, from the pet, right? The pet might want to just find food, and you might put food into a little bowl, and when he searches for food, he finds the bowl that you placed there, right? Yeah. So I think that is all cool stuff.
And of course, pets were one of the later, maybe even the last of the original stretch goals back during the original campaign. So. Last creature related question. This one's from me. Will we be able to pet the dog?
Yes, I hope so.
Okay.
Because that's cuddling as well.
He didn't sound too sure about that.
Don't put pets in and not let us pet the dog. All right.
I would be very careful allowing players.
Doesn't Quanta system tell AI their objectives? If so, why not in ships? Well, first, not to sound like an ass. The system itself is called Quantum. The AI that are being simulated are referred to as the Quanta. But that system only guides AI on their day-to-day sort of active lives. Once you hire an AI to go on your ship as an NPC, for starters, NPCs aren't driven by Quantum. Those are subsumption NPCs, and they're driven by a different logic framework. But they would have to respond to your commands, because you can't have NPCs on your ship just doing whatever it is they want, or their logic tells them, because they're being hired by you, they're paid by you. So they would have to make a way for a player call and response to happen with those AI, and then they'd have to do that for each of the different professions that AI could have. And it gets big. It gets a lot very quickly like that. How about making the dog into a burger? Then you could pet the burger? Is that what you're getting at there? I think. Isn't Quanta on the back end? It is. It's a simulator. And what's if an NPC jumps a Quanta jump? Honestly, the whole naming. Oh boy. Oh. The whole naming of it is just bad. But I mean, that's, they do that. They name things weirdly. So the entire simulation software is called Quantum. And then the singular AI that are simulating the game are also called Quantum. And then the group of all of those AI, the plural of them, are called Quanta. But also, if you want to travel quickly in Star Citizen, then you are using a quantum jump. But also, to go mining and make money, you can mine Quantanium. So you got a lot of quants to keep up with. NPC feel like taking over your ship and spacing you. Then they did. That's just them. Quantum said it. So be it. Guys say they are naming stuff fish names now. I think quanta actually means the smallest part of a component, so that being an AI, a collection of quanta is probably a quantum. Hey, I don't know. But in their video, when they talked about how they named the system, they said, and I quote, "This is our new economy, blah, blah, blah. It is a quantum leap." And then when explaining the various aspects of the system, he referred to the quanta and said, being the plural form of quantum. So just whatever naming convention they're trying to go with this, it goes, the quantum are known as quanta, and they are inside the system called quantum, which is separate from the travel system called quantum. Quant. All right.
So pick up the dog. I'm scared what they'll do to that.
Well, no.
Careful.
I didn't say pick up. If you're
Acting the oh,
all right here, will AI in the game, found at like NPCs and stations, towns, stuff like that, or even wildlife, okay, follow and use the same survival requirements that players currently do? Basically, will AI get hungry? Will they get thirsty? Will they have to heal? Stuff like that.
Absolutely. So this is basically what Andrew's working on. Is exactly the stuff.
Yo,
with them.
people
And
are
these
going to
whales-
start starving their NPC crew. Oh, that's going to get so bad.
angry. Humans, will get angry. They will have to, find some food. Of course, we are not doing like the same simulation where you have that's the bar and stuff like this, but based on your flow, if you're working, imagine like you're really like an airplane pilot for real, right? And you get hungry. It's not that you say, "Oh, bye, guys." You just leave the cockpit and you go eat something.
I mean, maybe.
So you can sustain, these values, and you can do it at the right.
Maybe you're in a rush. Just
But,
jump out.
We will basically have these.
What's
these
up, UT?
needs that they need to be fulfilled to perform better, right? If you are like super hungry and super thirsty, and you're fighting, you're not gonna be as efficient, as if
This is
you are, like,
from 1 year ago, I think. November 2021. November 2020. This is 2 years ago. Oh, look at that. Hey, look. Wait, hold on. Hold up. We got chapters down here. Oh, jeez. They could have told me that
Explaining
before.
the
We got AI
difference
crew.
between AI NPC crew and AI server blades.
We've literally been talking about this, and it's right here the whole time. Can we just get AI crew without all the needing to take care and feed them? I bet you there's going to be, because they have like different proficiencies and stuff that they care about. I bet you there will be plenty of people that you'll be able to specifically pick who are NPC crew who like are just super low maintenance. They're just like, yeah, dude, whatever, starve me for 2 days. I'll shoot who you want. Just pay me at the end of those 2 days, and I'll get my food. That's for you, Dread King.
For spacecraft, because they are two very different things, and I think sometimes a lot of people use the term AI interchangeably to mean both. So
We do.
Let's start off with the differential there.
You know why? It's because you guys name everything so confusingly.
I'll take that
Hearts.
one.
Okay.
No one else wants to jump on it.
It's all you, Dan.
No, they're both AI. They are definitely both AI, especially from our perspective. They are going to be running the same behavior. How an AI needs to aim a gun to shoot down a ship is exactly the same way a human is going to aim that same gun to shoot a ship. The same behavior is going to run through all of this. Now, gameplay-wise, there are differences. A blade is a subcomponent on a ship. You will plug it in and suddenly assign a turret to use that blade, and the turret knows how to do it. There are disadvantages here. First of all, the blades are going to be worse than NPCs. We have this grading of the player. If you take an average player, it's going to be better than an average NPC, and it's going to be better than...
Okay, Dan. But like, what's average here? Because, I mean, if you saw me on an average day, you'd probably think that somebody just messed up with the AI, and it's not running correctly. So like, he's got to quantify this for us. So he's like an average player. And I'm like, dude, have you seen me on a Sunday in that hammerhead turret trying to take out bounties? There's 20 targets and I got half of one. Like, I don't know about that. Maybe I'm just below average.
Play. Yeah. So pretty much we automatically is not that good at the job. The turret blades are actually going to occupy a blade slot, which means you can't equip another blade for other functionality you might want on the ship. So that is a valuable slot that you're losing just to have one turret start shooting without an NPC there. Basically, you're a cheap bastard.
Hey, I'm hoping that these investigation missions might start to double as search and rescue missions, Nud. We've got all the components for it, right? They just got to tie them in.
Want to pay someone to take that slot, whether it's a player or an NPC. Just pay the money and hire someone and get them to shoot. You can pay for a blade that is the cheap alternative. Don't do that. I mean, do it if you can't afford anything else. And then the ship is going to have only enough blades to run a part of the turrets. So let's say you have a ship like, I don't know, the Hammerhead. You won't be able to have enough blade slots to make all the turrets functional. So there's that downside. So this is mainly where the difference runs.
He forgot about the starving NPC crew.
AI-wise, I guess if some of the programmers want to chip into this with how the behavior for this works, maybe they can clear some stuff up.
Yeah, behaviors are just the same behavior that an NPC will run, but maybe most importantly, the behavior will be the same, the activity will be the same.
I don't think I've ever seen this man before. I don't even remember seeing him in this video.
Same, and maybe how you characterize the blade will go through traits, skills.
Yeah.
So sort of editing your the skills, the capacities of this gunner in this case.
I think, as Dan said, it's like not all the seats can be replaced, right? So there would be part of the crew members that they would be purely NPCs. And,
Gee, man, I was gonna say, is this some Half-Life stuff here?
I think the critical part here, I guess, is to like basically the same way we let designer in specific environment to ask NPCs to do things, right? This is how.
This is 2 years back. This is the AI team talking about some goods, some AI goodies. See, they talk about skills even 2 years back. Yeah. Well, I mean, we always knew they were going to have skills for NPCs, right? That was at least made clear.
Hood is the same way as when the player will give them commands, right? If you ask an NPC, say, go and be the turret guy, right? What will happen is the same as when a designer set up like a mission and he has an NPC sitting on a turret, on a turret seat. If you ask a guy, you say like, you know what, I want you to fix that panel, right? You can do it. And it's the same way as when a designer asks an NPC to go and repair exactly that panel. So the way we build the behaviors, and especially
work got thrown out.
This crew management, the part of the crew, the guys in the crew.
You mean like what Chris was saying during CitizenCon about how they restarted on the combat stuff, on the AI stuff?
In a way in which they can perform.
Keep in mind, the stuff that they're talking about here was never in the game yet. This is a lot of the AI stuff that they've been doing had nothing to do with like the combat AI that they showed off in CitizenCon. I don't know if that is what you're talking about, but most of the AI stuff that we see for the PU side of things is more social based and interaction based, as opposed to like combat and wingman based and stuff.
By themselves, as best as they can, their jobs based on the skill.
The moment they had them for NPCs, it was a logical leap. There would be skills for players as well. No way. There's no way that was a logical leap. I didn't see anybody ever say that a single time, because it had already been said that it wasn't going to be a thing. So the existing precedent was that it wasn't going to be a thing for players. Not saying that they can't change their minds on that, but I don't see why there was any logical reason for people to assume players were going to have it just because NPCs did, when they explicitly said in the past that players wouldn't.
Just procrastinate. You will have your engineer that goes around and just sometimes you find this smoking spot, or I don't know, like some resting areas, and he just hides there and not doing his job. But you might have his supervisor that goes around and sends tasks to Vibo, right? And then,
if I have an NPC that's not doing their job, I'm going to throw them out of an airlock.
We have the same on the bridge crew, right?
Mostly because I just want that experience.
Got
to be that jerk just once.
Job or not, and maybe just tell them something, and the same for the player will be basically, right? And then they can assign them. And also I think there is like there's more gameplay. Say you can find who's best at doing specific job based on the one you hire, right? You might hire somebody really good on shield management, but he kind of sucks at shooting through a turret. And if maybe you need both, but you don't have enough money. You hire one guy, and then you live with whatever it's most of your needs. But the good thing is that these skills and levels.
Hey Ken, one thing that we'll always have in our org is a role, a rank that you can have that doesn't require any sort of participation or anything. You just get to jump in when you need to, when you want to, and not be there when you don't. I think there will be plenty of orgs like that too, so don't worry about that. I don't think that Star Citizen will ever be a game that can't be soloed. I do think it's a game that's going to provide a suboptimal experience if you play solo. And when I say solo, I don't mean playing in groups. I mean not interacting with anybody. I think you'll be able to play this game fine solo, but I do think you'll have to outsource some of the things that you need done to other people. Heard you can't have sex shooting through a turret. What? Just think that people misunderstood the no skills comment. That was relation to RPG-like skills, so skill trees and skill points, and we won't get those, thankfully. We didn't misunderstand. They said there wouldn't be any flat out. They did say that there wouldn't be any sort of way to change your character's attributes, whether that be role-playing needs or anything like that. Not saying that's a bad or a good thing, but in those answers, there was a pretty specific line of answering to say, nothing will be dependent on your character. It will depend on the player. Nobody's trying to take your solo away. Why does everyone keep forgetting that solo ships exist? Solo ships are actually multi-crew ships. You just have to figure it out. It's a puzzle, right? That's part of the gameplay. How are you going to get your friend in there? By the way, think we will be able to recruit NPCs to the org? Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe. Considering that you can work with the same NPCs to improve their skills, maybe there's some chance that there's like a... geez, if I consider that kind of stuff, I'm just like, when is that ever going to happen? Like a database of NPCs that's actually kept track of? But I don't know. That sounds like just crazy, right? Doesn't that sound like crazy talk? I feel crazy saying it.
Just carry through the game. So it's kind of cool that you see the guy maybe getting better at some of those.
Maybe not, though. I'm not a doctor.
Train. Some others would just be your character traits, If somebody's coward, and you just put him on,
NPCs keep track of their standings towards players and orgs. Yeah, and they just switch to a new NPC once you get hired by that org. That could be a thing.
But maybe somebody super skilled, costs much more money. So it is gonna create this extra, layer of gameplay as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
I would like to mention is that we're already building all of our behaviors to take skills and traits into consideration. So basically, even the guys you are fighting in Korea, they have skills and traits that are going to be driving some of the decisions. The behavior tree is exactly the same, but there are branches where it goes, well, do I have the skill to do this thing? Or how good am I at doing this specific thing? Exactly the same stuff we'll be using for NPC's crews, basically, because we build the system in such a way where we thought a bit ahead and we're like, well, we want crews, let's start building the skill and trait system that's going to dictate how the behavior runs or how efficient someone is at the job.
All right.
As a player,
we talked a lot here about AI crew. I guess they keep going. Somebody else get me a question though. Ask about a big piece of gameplay that you've been interested in, and we'll see if we can start finding some information on it from CIG themselves and chat about it a little bit. Right now, we've just been talking about AI crew, but let's expand to something else.
Discover that you don't know, right? So it's like there are some traits might enable you to do a tactic. Some traits might just make a tactic different, right? It's like, oh, maybe you do that and you're really not that good on doing it, something like this. Or the NPC thinks he's good at doing it, but it's not really.
If you have a very confident but stupid NPC, then
exactly.
Have some problems.
Yeah. That's actually what I've been working on. Actually, this sprint was we had defining some stuff like cowardly and show off for pilots. And you'd get show off as a show off pilot would be more likely to do tricks, but his piloting skill would determine how actually useful those tricks are. So
A slow barrel roll versus a fast barrel roll.
really sluggish.
Exploration, long range scanning, etc. That's easy. Cafito asked about player run outposts. Player run outposts are a few years away at least. So the tool that we got, in fact, screw it, I can show you the source video for this information. The tool that they've been working on that they just talked about delivering in the September monthly report. Let me find what am I? Oh yeah, this video. So let's go to the Star Citizen September monthly report. And I have the video up for the long range exploration as well, so we'll look at that right after this. But real quick, let's check this out.
Thanks, Morgan. So, I'm Mark.
Let's listen to what they have to say about this tool.
What is Rasta? Rasta is our work-in-progress tool for planetary locations creation and edition. The name stands for a mix of RTS, the game jaw, which takes the inspiration from its map editor system, and Star, as well, you know. Its goals are to replace our previous placement system based on prefabs to a better object container-oriented solution. As our previous system was based on prefabs, any changes to location was source of issue, as it needs to re-enable a whole set of data to have things like missions or shops to work again. With this new system, any change will be easily manageable and won't require us to redo work when a change is made. Plus, as it's now object container oriented, it can be used for outposts, caves, or even derelicts, and more. It works as a modular system where locations will in fact be made of small elements that will be placed just like you do in City Builder RTS editor. And in a matter of minutes, we now have a new location where we can now create a bunch of cool games.
Space Sim City. Sim Space City. Space City
Let's go to
Sim.
Mark, who will tell us about the connector system.
Thanks, Morgan. So, I'm Mark. I'm also a tools developer for the Plantech team. Do you know what's better than placing everything by hand? Not placing everything by hand. In
I can
order
see
to do
that.
that,
I get
we
that.
use what we call connectors. Basically, artists create small parts of homesteads that we can then snap together. Every part is modular, so we can interchange multiple ones in order to have procedural homesteads. Every change is very simple. We can change like the whole inside of a homestead, or only a building that is a part of the homestead. In that way, it's very easy to make a lot of different buildings. Once something is connected, it is considered a part of the whole. So it moves as one, it can be deleted and changed, and it's basically all for connectors. So back to you, Morgan.
And last but not least, some of you might have noticed that the UI is not looking quite like an engine UI. And that's normal, as it's based on our in-game UI tech building blocks, and that for a reason. While today it's being used by our developers, one day, when it's ready and been thoroughly tested internally, we'll make a version available to you, the player. And Rasta is what will make you a pioneer.
Okay, so that was literally, I played that whole video just for that last part. So this is the beginning of place building.
Thank you for watching. We are very
of-
excited about the tech we've shown.
Hey, this is the beginning of player buildings, player towns, player outposts. Still pretty far away, but kind of it's starting to become an actual feature of the game engine. So at some point we'll be looking at the ability to do this ourselves with the ship he referred to, called the Pioneer, which is a big old boy. CNOU. They, for some reason, their first two vehicles was a starter ship and a massive base building ship, which actually still isn't in the game. But this thing was our first look at base building potential. And There will probably be other ships like this for base building, but essentially this is the beginning of us looking at it. And you can see in this last monthly report, they said the Planet Tech team are in the process of delivering Rastar V1, the internal tool used to build modules and populate planetary environments with outposts, derelicts, and cities. So that was that a year ago, 2 years ago? This was a year ago at CitizenCon. And now 1 year later, they're finally delivering the first version of this tool that they can use to start building out areas. And over time, polish and allow us to get access to it. So, you know, give it a few years, decades, years, I don't know. Several years, I'd say, just to be safe. But sometime within the next few years, I think we could definitely see our ability of plopping down some spots, some getting our SCV out there, plopping down some spots. That'll be cool, but then there's resources like water, etc. you'll have to keep up with. Yeah. All right. David was asking, right now you can, hold on, let me make sure I don't miss the scanning questions you had. That was one of these. This one? Yeah. Long distance probing. So we'll get to this right away. Right after this. With resource management, will it still be possible to turn off ship's powers from all stations? I doubt it. It'll probably be hooked to the captain, and whoever the captain specifies can do it. I'm betting everybody will have the same remote layout on their Mobi-Glass with the bare functionality, and then the controls that are available to you there will be locked out based on your role on the ship. Same goes for the engineering station, the navigation station, the cartography station, all the stations. Will there be specific stations for that? Yeah, I think so. I think the stations will be specific, but maybe not. That's based on what they've done before, but maybe they'll decide to make all of the computer screens interchangeable. Do I think CIG is trying to keep some players in a single system /moon/moon? Because if you have an outpost or small production facility, you will have to be present to run it. I think you'll have no problem finding other people who can run it when you're not there. But I also do think that the model that this game is going for is one that's going to encourage people to stay in the same place for a long time. And most likely have 1, 2, maybe 3 places that they generally keep all their gameplay around. For the majority of players, obviously you have your scouts, your explorers, your deep space miners, salvagers, people looking for a fight in hostile environments. Like, you have plenty of people who aren't going to stay around one space, but I think that's kind of the idea that they're going for. Do I discuss leaks on the stream? Very lightly. I don't really follow them that closely. So, like, I know about as much as any other person when it comes to leaks. You played Squadron back in 2016. Can't wait for the sequel. Nice, Cantor. Nice. Lucky freaking guy, man. I heard it was fully playable back then, yeah. Pull the fuse. Target drone, you might be onto something. Maybe they'll be behind lockboxes, though. I mean, you'd hope, right? All right, so somebody asked questions about long distance scanning and probing and exploration gameplay. So we're going to listen in to what the EUPU team, who is taking a large part of taking care of that, has to say about it. I'm also working on a video about this for supporters this month. Holston Coop, hello. Build an outpost space hotel. Yo. Space hotel would be nice. What's up, One Bravo? Doing well, man. How you doing?
What is long distance probing?
What is long distance probing?
Well, long distance probing is basically a system that we want to introduce where players have a ship somewhere in space and they can send out like probes and place them anywhere in the same system.
It's like where you go out in space and you find distances that are like really long and then you probe them. No, I'm not making fun of him. Just like that's a very, simple way of saying it.
And those probes will ping and reveal basically objects that are of interest there or anything that might be there. And those objects could be like mining places, derelict stations.
See, people miss this. Every time I see people talk about exploration regarding Star Citizen, this is actually what the exclusive video is about. It explains what exploration is, why it isn't going to just be a profession. It's going to be an integral part of the game. I think that everybody is using, and it's broken into components, not necessarily like T1, T2, T3 kind of thing. But like everybody seems to miss this when they're talking about it. Not everybody, but a lot of people. They're like, by the time this game is done, everything's going to be explored. Nothing's going to matter. Everything's going to be discovered. And it's like, you guys are looking for resources. You're not looking for the next star system or the next planet. That might happen, but for the most part, you're going to be looking for resources, points of interest, anomalies for other people. And they say it, they just straight up say it to us in these various things, but it kind of just gets passed over.
Be like
people think it's going to be elite dangerous exploration, and it's just not. That game's got another thing going on for it.
Mining places, derelict stations, ships, anything that we could imagine that you could find there and we could spawn. And so you find something, then what you have to do there is try.
Mobutu, ask me about the data again after this video, and we'll look into that. I do think we'll be able to get the UGFs ourselves at some point. I think they'll be abandoned, some of them, and we'll be able to set up shop. Yeah.
Triangulate. So you have to bring in the probes into position, so you get the more precise signal on that. And once the signal strength is enough, you can either decide to generate a quantum beacon that you can basically jump to. You could store that information and sell it to other players. Or what we aim to have there is an analysis gameplay where you basically have a signature, a unique signature of what you found there, and then you compare it on your ship. So basically the drones, the probe sends back the signature, and you sit on your PC on the ship, and you compare the signature with everything that you either bought or you collected yourself in the library. And then you get an idea, okay, this might be in Gladius, this could be in a mining field. And then you can still decide to, okay, I jump there and I look at it, or the risk is too high, I don't jump there.
So the way that he lays it out here for long distance scanning, it's more of a UI-based minigame where, and the way he says it makes it sound like you will need to know for yourself what a signature looks like, what a Gladius signature looks like, what a Reclaimer signature, Idris signature, Javelin signature looks like, and be able to relay that information to whoever's in charge of your ship, or if you are, just to understand that info and make the call for yourself. And I think this is a really big part of where the disconnect of what exploration comes from. Oh boy, I almost just stopped the stream. Careful there. You're not going to get an exploration mission. Well, you might get an exploration mission, but it's not like you scan an area, you're told what's there, and then you just click a button and go there. You have to decide if the thing that you found via scanning is even worth your time, or if it's too dangerous for you. It's not like there is a straightforward step 1, step 2, step 3 of exploration like there would be in mining. It's going to be different for different people because different people are looking for different things, and different people have different aversions to danger. So it's kind of, in my opinion, it's like a free-form puzzle almost. You send out these probes, you figure out what's in the area, you decide if what's in the area is even worth it for you, and then you go into the next step of exploration, which is sending your ship there and then scanning more medium distance. And they lay it out pretty clearly here. I think they keep talking about it more.
So that's the rough rundown of it.
I think what's important here, what we're going to try to introduce here, is that uncertainty. You'll be able to see a graph of how, it's like seeing the drive signature of a ship. You kind of know the EM, you know the IR, and you'll get the curve of how strong each part it is. And you might look at it and go like, this looks very similar to an Idris. And when you jump there, you might have a surprise that it's a lot of smaller ships or a fleet or something like this. Or it might look like a hauler that you might want to pirate. And you get there and, oh no, It's actually a nitrous with a lot of his stuff being turned off, waiting for prey to jump in. Because their signature, once they turn off some of the things on the ship, might look a lot smaller than what it actually is.
And he knows all that because he's the one in charge of resource management.
So it opens up a lot of exploration for a lot of players. It also opens up a lot of options for traps and creating interesting scenarios where you're kind of going like, well, let's see what happens and who jumps for the bait here. So, and it's up to the players once they get the full analysis to figure out what that thing is. They can jump, they cannot jump, they can sell the information, they can sell it as, oh, I found this very rich asteroid field. And when that person buys it, looks over the analysis data, oh, yeah, that looks like an asteroid field. But when they jump there, it's not an asteroid field. There's, I don't know, it's a booby trap. There's a turret on every rock there. And as soon as you jump in, it blows you up. Because the guy that did the analysis didn't go all the way to figure out everything and actually jump there, see himself what is in that space.
I also like, and I try not to fall victim to the fact that he could just be theory crafting there and not actually talking about their true mechanics. But I do like the idea, as long as this is freeform and it's based on player skill and not like, you know, just having the right, I don't know, the right bookmark, the right page in your FAQ linked to know what a signature is. I don't know. I hope that you are able to hire an explorer, and then that explorer has to have a certain amount of surety in their discoveries. They scan an area, they say, oh, yeah, that looks like it could be that, whatever. And then they turn that mission in and actually get marked down because what they thought was there wasn't actually there, and it screwed up a whole bunch of gameplay for a bunch of other groups of, whether it's NPCs or other people or whatever. That kind of consequence to not making sure you're doing your job right is, in my opinion, a really, really important part of Star Citizen, and something that you don't get to see enough in games. Does sound like you will have resources in order to compare and contrast. Yeah. So I didn't mean to say that you shouldn't be able to look at the signatures, just that there should be some ambiguity about it. You know, you can't be 100% sure just because you looked at a picture of it. You give them a bad rating like a beacon. Right. The rating system's going to have to be crazy. I don't know how it's going to work without being abused.
So,
yeah, what is important for us is definitely that it's a player skilled base. So the more data you collected, the more precise your predictions are. So the longer you have been doing that already, the more precise your data is, the higher the value is that you can ask for. If you
see, that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, okay, is this going to factor into the skill system that they talked about? Because that sounds like it could very easily fit into that. The more you do look at those signatures, the easier it is for your player to understand the signatures. Or is it going to stay skill-based?
More precise your predictions are. So the longer you have been doing that already, the more precise your data is, the higher the value is that you can ask for if you sell them.
And the risk reward goes both ways. Let's say you're scanning for something, no, it's not scanning, it's like probing for something, and you find the thing, and then you go.
We won't have armistice zones in the future.
Like, oh, I want the last detail. I'm going to spend half an hour getting that. By the time you spend half an hour on it, it might be gone.
There he is.
It might be a player, it might be an NPC that just goes away. It's not going to wait there forever for you to get all the data about it. So it's up to you how much time you want to invest in that analysis part. Or do you risk and jump, or do you risk for it to jump away? It's all up to the player.
Is this something you guys have been working on alongside? You know, USP has been working on scanning and radar and stuff like this. So is this work hand in hand? Is this something where you need them to finish before you can really get going?
It's a bit separate. It uses the same signatures that we are familiar with, EMIR cross-section, but the system has to be different. We are talking about finding things over astronomical unit distances. We're not talking about 50 kilometers or 100 kilometers, which is where our radar kind of stops. And we're talking about, we're this is space telemetry. You're looking at the really large chunk of space and you get some data, you kind of think there's something there, then you bring your probes closer and closer, you get a clearer image, you get a closer location, closer, till you get that pinpoint precise location where you can jump, or you can continue analyzing and figuring out what that thing is before you risk.
Gotcha. So I know we're still relatively early days. This isn't. I don't think this is even on the public roadmap yet, is it?
Early days.
I'm not sure if it is, but so. Yeah, it is. It is still early days.
Without being too prescriptive, what you said astronomical ranges. Are we thinking across the other end of the solar system? Or are we thinking into other solar systems? What are we?
So it's gonna be localized to the solar system, okay. And even then, you won't be able to just go like, yeah, do the entire solar system. You'll have to choose it. You'll look on the map and go like, well, there's been a lot of things happening here. I'm gonna send my probes in that area and see if I narrow down. You might go there, it might be nothing, or it might be something don't care about.
That's my favorite part of exploration. I think we can end it here. I don't think yeah, they didn't get too much more into it. My favorite part of that idea of exploration is just that this is from June 18th, 2021. Just the fact that it's so open-ended. You're not just going on a mission. You're taking clues, you're taking context into account. Just like he said, he noticed that there was a lot of stuff going on in one part of the system. You know that knowledge. That's not just like, that's not on a tutorial. That doesn't just tell everybody in the game, hey, go to this place, because you know that that's there. It's like, as an explorer, you get to use whatever means necessary to find out some information and then exploit it. Go there, find something that nobody else knows is there, and then use that data, whether you want to use it for yourself or sell it to someone else. It's such an open-ended idea of gameplay. And the way that they're building it, or at least talking about building it so far, has me so excited for it. Now, we talked about, somebody asked about data running, right? I think there's not really much on that. It's one of the least talked about aspects of the game, I think. But if we look up their own stuff, I believe they have an FAQ on the Mercury Star Runner that does talk a little bit about it. Not anything that substantial. It talks about, I think, just the difference between a Mercury Star Runner scanner and another type of scanner. So I think it's in this.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first Reverse the Verse Town.
Don't know if they have any.
I've got a question just about actually the process for designing a ship. So how you go about designing a ship, say, for data running, when it's yet to be implemented and there isn't maybe the best idea of how that's going to work yet, and avoiding, a concept that's leading to a lot of feature creep. How do we constrain that, and how do you end up with something that works?
He said the words.
Well, that's something we never think about, is it? I was going to say, which one of you wants
it? This is one of the things that's always between the ship pipeline and the system designers. Generally, they get to be a lot faster than we are, and that's when.
How you doing, dude? Thanks. I'm glad to have you in here. We could use more dads.
Even if we're not ready with the system, with a full finished system and tested and fun to play, we still have a pretty rough idea of how we want the gameplay to be. So there are systems that we have not written yet parts of the code for them, but we know, it's going to work like this, like this, like this, and everyone kind of agrees, that makes perfect sense, and it's a good idea that we will implement in the future. We know it's coming, so they can already start going like, we can start establishing metrics for all these boxes, and we can start figuring out what distances do we want certain types of gameplay to happen at, and then they can start, okay, we need these distances in the ship, we need that much space for certain cargo or data storage, and then they can start building accordingly. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, and I wish we had a bit more resources to start making the gameplay and testing it and being fun, and then doing this part, but
Oh no. No. No, my Go XLR disconnected. God, I hate this thing. Stand by. Now the sound is going to have to disconnect. There
as we originally thought, but we're getting pretty good at making estimations and getting as close to final, even before the systems get tested.
Where the heck is data running? I wish we should know something about data running. It is very annoying that we don't. Let's see if maybe this question asked more.
Mercury send the infos to other ships. Maybe have the same computer size, and the second
That's
is
that is the she is the artist who made the Mercury Star Runner. I think she also designed the Argo SRV. She doesn't work with CIG anymore. I think she was just there as a contracted concept artist. I think she designed stuff, or at least did design stuff for a little while for Star Atlas after this.
Can this ship, maybe a Carrack, decrypt this info?
Did you just use this as an opportunity to bring the Carrack into this?
Yes. No.
There's always one.
You thought I was joking about this. I said before, somebody's going to use their question to slip in a Carrack thing.
We're trying to find some information on data running. Jacker.
Here. This is you. I had a prize here. You won a prize.
No, she didn't design the elevator. She just designed the ship.
There you go.
Somebody else made the call to make it an elevator.
Now, unfortunately, we've
She
delayed
made all
the
the-
development of the Carrack another 6 months.
Actually, I don't know if there's a concept image of the elevator, but if there is, then I guess, yeah, that'd be on her.
Because of that. So, all right. I don't remember the question anymore.
It was, can the Mercury transfer
The first
data
question
between?
is, can the Mercury send the info data to other ships?
Malakina, that's an interesting idea. I never really thought about acquiring data like that. I have to think about that more. This is not recent. This is 4 years old now.
With a similar size or a bigger size of computers? And can these ships decrypt the data like the Mercury can?
Okay, so essentially any ship can send data to another ship. It might be at a very basic level, and you can send all the data that you have to another ship. You can share coordinates, share discoveries, whatever. But it's going to take a while. If you're sending it between an Argo and a Reliant or something, they're not designed for that sort of communication. These ships, the Herald, the Mercury, any of the big cap ships that focus on data, they're designed for it's like bandwidth. Rather than having 56K modem sending stuff, you've got fiber. So they can send it a lot better.
Quantum fiber.
Quantum fiber.
It's that freaking word again.
Encryption was that yeah, encryption is sort of locked to specific hardware in the ship. So if your ship has it, you can encrypt it. The ship at the other end will need the equivalent hardware to do that. Not all of them have it. Whether the Carrack has it, too early to say in terms of. It's got enough stuff on it already.
But you have a notepad to hold you over now. All right, Ulf, what do you got?
Another one coming up. Hello, my name is
All right, let's
Chris.
see if this is a good one.
Can the Mercury attach with magnetic clamps to other ships to hide? You didn't, or I didn't hear it. That number two, will we be able to add similar compartments to existing ships?
Important question.
Last chance.
What will fit in vehicles, land vehicles?
Okay, so I think we got all the data running info we could get out of that. There was a couple things in the Q&A, but I think that was mostly it in terms of the video stuff. Next bit of gameplay. What else did we have people were asking about? Let's see. Talking about base building, outposts, crime stats. Won't bounty hunting need data running when we get more than one system? Don't think it will need it, but they're probably... Yeah, I don't know. That depends on a few different things. First is the bounty hunting system is going to be based on the tracking app in your MobiGlass being able to report to you the different systems that NPCs or bounties have used. So like landing services, comm arrays, stuff like that. That information might need to be sent through a jump point with another person in order to communicate it to another system, but I'm not sure. So it depends on how inter-system communications are going to work. Didn't they say that data running was going to come out at the same time as the hacking was going to roll out? Remember them saying this back when they first started talking about hacking? I don't remember. You remember what video that was? Last summer? Let's see. Gosh, I don't have any tabs with the actual... There we go. Probably going to want hacking done before data running so you can hack and steal said data. You know, you would think. But I don't think there's any guarantee of that. I thought we would have data transfer by this point. I thought we'd be able to send waypoints on the star map to other people by now, but we can't. You're aggravated with all the new and future fix the systems we've got now. Everest Harbor Armistice Zone broken and service ships broken. Grimhex Hospital elevator broken. So that wouldn't necessarily be this team, whoever we were just looking at. The team that we were just looking at was the, they're working on things like the power system and resource management and hacking and features and stuff like that. It sounds like those would mainly be problems for the landing zone team. Things like broken armistice zone, elevators not working. That would be like landing zone and actual tech teams, I think. Less than the content teams. Depends if Quantum will do data running along with players. I think they will. Yeah, I think the Quantum will be transferring data around. Data running, you fear, is not in the near future. I wasn't really thinking so, but they kind of got to get something rudimentary in there so that the game is informed that it exists, right? Rogue Duck, you didn't miss too much. Not too much. Right now we are looking for some reporting on, what was it? Hacking? Wasn't that 2 summers ago? Wasn't that around here somewhere? I bet you that was like the EUPU or USPU teams. This was 2021. Really? Nobody timestamped this? It might be the USPU team. US. Where is the EU team? There it is. You have no idea anymore what's in the near future. I would say most of the stuff that they were showing at CitizenCon,
the environment,
recent IAC stuff. Let's see if they say anything about hacking. Nope, nothing in here. It's got to be the USPU team, but none of their stuff is timestamped. So we would just have to
number of features.
Guess at it.
Heist, break into someone's ship and take their stuff, or force them to give you stuff because you've threatened to blow them up if they don't. Like, that is 100%.
Yeah, and on the technical side, if I could just like kind of clarify a little bit. Previously, cargo instead of cargo grids were
nothing there.
Really just some data and some persistent representation. And we're changing it to be represented as entities. And for anyone that's not familiar with game dev terminology, an entity is this really generic term for just something that like a player might see in the game. So what that means is that the cargo boxes, the those prospector whatever bag things. These things are going to be things that we have a lot more ability to allow to simulate independently, so that they can attach.
Did they talk about it at all when they introduced the?
So that gives us
What's it called? The video. What was the ship that they introduced this year?
Do very interesting things.
The Expanse. No, not the Expanse. The Liberator, was it? The hacking and boarding ship. Where the heck is it?
Definitely seems like it's ripe for.
Wasn't that introduced? Oh, Legionnaire. That's it. Wasn't that introduced this? There it is. Gosh, I kept scrolling past it. Okay, let me see if they talk about it here at all.
Welcome the UE Naval Fleet to the Planet Crusader for this year's event. Now, throughout the festivities, you can test fly military vehicles for free, experience new releases like the Anvil Legionnaire, rediscover.
You know, with the ships, it's always an advancement, right? So, yeah.
What the heck? What's wrong with my Go XLR? It didn't even mute me. Stupid. Sorry, y'all had to hear me sneeze.
It's essentially for a hostile takeover. I think this is.
Why does it keep dropping out? Is my internet that bad? I don't even get sound anymore. What is this? I hate you, Go XLR.
We did some really cool stuff in like the experimental
Depa,
phase.
20. Depa is literally single-handedly funding this stream. Thank you, Depa. You're awesome. 9 months ago, we got a sneak peek at the hacking tool made by the lore. Yeah, blue triangles, but we haven't seen anything about that since. 20 for the sneeze. Thank you. I get intense sneezes. Sometimes they're very high-pitched. You wouldn't believe it. Starchives.org. It searches keywords in the videos using the Google Auto Sub. Oh, that is sweet lordies. I'm gonna hold on. Let me grab that.
We had like sort of crazy arms and things that could basically sort of latch onto ships. But I mean, ultimately, because you've got to take into account all the other ships that are in the universe that can be boarded, you kind of have to come up with a really sort of simple universal system, which is kind of why on this Legionnaire it is such a simple mechanic, essentially.
The Legionnaire.
Okay, let's see.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
So they mention hacking here.
Welcome to Star Citizen Live, a succulent Chinese meal. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee, and that joke won't make any
25.
of this that goes out won't look like the second version, won't look like the third version, because these things are all going to be adjusted and tweaked and
okay.
And
we got some hacking talk up here.
Based on feedback from everybody, you guys, internal testing.
Thank you for that,
all of it, so.
Raul.
So yeah, so give that a chance. Let's see. Look for the chat here. Any chance we can get a fireman carry instead of just body dragging? This person really wants to chuck people over their shoulders, I guess.
Yeah, so we have talked about this actually, because obviously we do have the body drag for moving people around, but that's kind of more, what we envisioned that as is that was more of a short range and quick action of, say, like, you know, you're in a firefight, one of your buddies has gone down and you want to get them to cover, you can kind of very quickly run out, grab them, pull them away while being able to kind of like fire off with your pistol a little bit. But the fireman carry is probably going to be something that's going to be better for long range. So like if, you know, my ship's a kilometer away and I've gone out with you, Jared, and we're having
all right, skipping forward a little bit to hacking talk.
Yeah, I'll talk to Steve Bender and he'll do it if I ask. So y'all better behave in chat.
You just do it, or just do it, or do it for the game?
Both. Joas, let's talk
Hey, Kim
about
Gullix.
hacking. We've seen hacking on the roadmap a couple times. It's pushed for a couple of various reasons. We're not going to get into that, but about hacking as the features, about how it's going to work. Describe to us where we're going, what our intentions are with hacking, what kind of, what kind of things we're looking to be able to hack to take control over. You know it better than I do, so talk to us about hacking.
Yes, so hacking is a very exciting feature. At least in
Yeah,
my opinion.
Starchives worked.
So currently how
I love it.
the
I'm
hacking
already
that's
in love.
implemented in the PU work right now is you basically go and you buy a chip, and then somewhere in the universe you find like this chip slot of like a hackable computer that you insert
You got a
the chip
vulture, Kim
into,
Gollix?
and it's basically a timer that ticks down.
You do
and
salvaging in other
shows
games, or is this the
jams,
first?
You need to restart it, and what we wanted to do with hacking, moving on from that, the current implementation, is that we wanted to introduce some more engaging gameplay when it comes to hacking.
ST archives.
So we've explored a bunch of different concepts, and we've had a
Starchives.
long period of experimentation and playing around with different ideas internally in the design team. So what we have right now for what hacking is going to be, we're going to add this hacking device, which is going to be something that you can equip in your hand, and then
I think I have a picture of that.
keep those chips, which basically works like the ammo for the hacking device. So you have the hacking device in your hand, and there's going to be these things in the world that you can hack. You go up to them.
Here is said hacking device.
They connect wirelessly, and you're going to see this 3D visualization of a network. You're going to be able to move around in this network and also manipulate the network to open up new paths and new routes, and while you're inside here, like what is your objective?
Said network.
How do you complete the hack? Well, basically you find these weak points that you insert like a Trojan horse into, and then you connect those up together. Sounds pretty simple, but there's also gonna be these antivirus systems.
That's similar to what we're seeing here, but I believe they've changed the concept since this graphical interface. I believe there's another part of this or some other segment of hacking that actually counts on you inputting lines of code, like pre-selecting lines of code and inputting them into certain places to kind of disrupt what's going on or implant yourself into the process or something. So this is more of a graphical representation. I don't know if they're still moving forward with this, but since this, they have talked about a little bit of a change up to how hacking works. I think it will still depend though on this thing, on this tool, and being within proximity. And golly, the way that he talked about it, how there are just things around you can hack, makes it sound like it is going to be more of a, oh, look, I guess this is the little chip. This is one of those chips he was talking about. So this goes into this, and you can see it slides in here, and you can see a little bit of it here poking through this little window. Whoops. And yep, there are more of them stacked up there. So they got these little cards that go into your hacking tool, and then this hacking tool probably remote hacks things. And this would be things like resource management consoles, ship locks and doors, little chests, and different things, your crime stat stuff. All of it would go through here, and it'd be a little mini game. But the idea that this is some sort of a system that just sits on top of all the other parts of the game, and it's not necessarily like things are specifically made for hacking, is, I love that. I love that they do that in this game, and that's kind of what I was talking about with exploration. It's not like any singular thing that you do for exploration. It's sort of up to you and how you want to use the things that they give you. Similar to a genre of games called immersive sims, like Prey, System Shock, Thief, Deus Ex were all kind of like those. They have teased a console mode. Okay. Gotcha. Are the cards and chips like ammo for the hacking device? Yeah, I think that's the idea. That's how it sounded like he was describing it. What's up, Rom? How have you been? Looks similar to the device they are using in the resource management video that they stuck to the wall. Am I wrong? I mean, it's got that same block sort of shape, but I think what they were showing there was a little bit different. I think, honestly, what they were showing there was kind of like a placeholder, sort of little, just like featureless box. What the heck? Take me to the video. What the f are you doing? Just ignoring me. Come on.
Can make sure that each or the
It actually is a little bit similar. But yeah, this is just like a little placeholder asset. It looks like it's got 2 bars on the side, an arrow up the middle, lights on there. Not entirely the same. Kinda. Yeah, that was the fuse. They said they want both the graphics and coding, but you may be able to do faster doing it with the actual code. I see. Kind of like how medical works. Let's listen to what else they had to say about hacking.
Present when you're hacking. So someone might have like, an antivirus that's gonna try to stop you basically and put, like make your life of hacking harder. And that leads us into like difficulty scaling. So there's gonna be like varying ranges from like the easier hacks. They might be smaller and very quick to complete, very straightforward. And then on systems that have more antivirus, like a higher antivirus level present, is gonna be quite a hard challenge for the players to finish the hacks. We also have a way to play this hacking game through a command prompt. So you're basically going to be able to, in addition to the normal control scheme, you're going to be able to type commands which control the hacking. And there's going to be various bonuses that you get from using the command prompt over.
Rebel Child. Long-time viewer, first-time chatter. Thank you for becoming a chatter. I really do appreciate that. And the sub with the Amazon Prime. Thanks for that support. It means a lot. Hope you've been enjoying the stream. If you have any questions or anything that you'd like to see specifically gameplay-wise, feel free to throw it in chat.
The default control scheme. So hopefully that's going to scratch that hardcore hacking fantasy urge that a lot of players.
Yeah, I don't think any sort of programming that they do in this game will be actual programming. I think it'll be kind of like in Mass Effect when you're just selecting blocks of code that are doing basic things, kind of.
From this. So why would I hack stuff? Like, what can I hack? Well, you're hacking in order to gain access to a system or part of a system that you previously didn't have access to. So what could that be? Like the most straightforward example is a door. You know, there's a door, it's locked, you don't have security access, you hack it, bam, now it's open and it opens up a new path, or maybe a room that contains valuable loot, or whatever the level designers come up with. Mainly it's gonna be like, or secondly, it could be like computers or terminals which control other systems, like gravity could be a cool thing that
sprinklers,
it controls,
water sprinklers. Say water sprinklers.
Yeah, whatever the level designers.
Water
sprinklers.
It's basically you make the system.
One of my favorites in Splinter Cell.
They apply it to.
Yeah, whatever the scenario that they're designing for. Loot containers as well could require you to hack them. Eventually, later down the line, you're going to be able to hack someone's ship, and that leads us onto the PvP aspect of hacking.
What if back then he's just like, and that leads us to the Legionnaire, and everybody's like, dude, we're like 8 months from revealing that ship. Why would you do this?
Basically, if someone's hacking your chip, you're going to get a notification that there's someone's trying to gain access to your system, and you can actually go in and take manual control over the antivirus system and try to hopefully you'll do a better job than the antivirus AI would.
I used to think that hacking was going to be a pretty small kind of just a utility part of the game until they delayed it twice and then started talking about it a bunch and then showed us the interface and stuff. And I realized they're trying to make hacking a pretty big part of this game. In fact, using this amazing website some more,
correctly. Correctly.
I can, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Holy crap, this is some cool website.
Someone if you're bounty hunting or so on and so forth. And then with hacking is almost a standalone encapsulated feature. So what we have is we'll be basically repurposing the hacking chips that we have right now. So the hacking chips will still be around. You'll have a hacking chip. You'll need to use that. And the way we're working with the environment team right now to go through all the locations is where you can hack something in. It's essentially you're going and using the maintenance access. So let's say you come to a PC or a ship or whatever. You're plugging into the maintenance access where somebody would come in and go, okay, I'm an IT administrator. I need to get into the system. So they have a skeleton key, should we say. They're putting it in and they're helping fix the problems. You've obviously got an illegal skeleton key, essentially. You're then plugging it in, and then that brings the hacking mini game up on your visor, where you essentially have to manipulate the 3D board to avoid the AI and collect basically fragments of the passcode that you're trying to find. And then when you find these passcodes, you can then put them in, and then that gives you access to whatever that is, whether that's opening a door, a terminal, terminal access, power access, elevators, whatever the content guys decide they want to do. But essentially that's the premise behind it. And we have a scaling difficulty across hacking. So we have versions without AI where it's just simple and you can just do it yourself.
I think this is
And we
2020.
have versions that are time limited with multiple AI. The board's much more complex.
No, this is 21.
And the premise is that a manufacturer in the world has created this 3D program to help people hack without actually having to script or program. So that's kind of where we're at with hacking, and that's obviously will slot into some of the FPS features to create some of the more interesting FPS missions that the guys are working on in the background.
Cool.
Gotcha.
So that's hacking. What else you guys got for me? What else do you want to hear about? Got a question here. Do you think the ships like the Expanse, Vulture, Crucible, and other support-oriented ships will come with Pyro? I don't. Think we'll have some of them, but definitely not most of them. We'll have to support each other down there. I don't know how they're going to do it. They still haven't really been super upfront explaining to us how resources are going to work in Pyro. I hope they already know for themselves, but we're going to have to wait and see, I think. Yeah, graphical interface makes sense. Especially if you're in the role-playing boots of, hey, I'm just like an IT tech, I'm an HVAC tech, I'm a solar panel tech, a car mechanic. I just come out to the job. It's a different job every day. I don't have a specific thing that plugs into one thing. I have a universal, it translates everything into a universal language I can use to work on it all. You just kind of wirelessly connect to it, do your job, and get out of there. Makes sense. Seems believable. Seems reasonable. Let's see. If nobody's got anything else, I'm going to find some interesting info for us to listen to. VFX, PU, core gameplay. I think we got a vehicle. Here we go. All vehicles Q&A. Let's see. Will there be a second entry for the Mercury Star Runner?
Are you still considering adding a second entry to the Star Runner?
Yeah, the star map is going to see a huge update, Combat Wombat. It's very bad. The star map is terrible. It's the worst part of the game right now, and it is definitely going to see an update at some point. They've been working on it for quite a while. Yeah, post-hacking is going to be interesting.
Get rid of all those Jeffries tubes that Ben...
The easiest ships, I imagine, to go through wormholes are probably going to be the smallest ships.
I think it'd be nice. I don't know.
Because it's a physical process.
But there's space where we could sneak it in at some point.
I would like to add more Jeffries tubes, as many ships as we can. But John hates me for it.
So there will be a Mercury Star Runner second entrance. There is no ETA on the star map update. We keep reading about it in the monthly reports. You can come down here and see the UI team continued their ongoing work on the star map, adding the ability to add hollow volumes using the UI system. We see something about this in the UI section every single month. So they're working at it, but it's still nowhere near. I guess it's not ready for them to show us. I'm thinking maybe they want to try and get one in for 4.0, but it seems like they're going to be very hush-hush about it until it actually comes about. Yeah, it's terrible. Cannot wait to dump a full sewage truck of poop in a major trade lane. Sound like Florida, man. I find the quantum router more worse than the star map, which is terrible. Doing it manually, you mean? With your own HUD? The man from Tomato. What's up, Axis? How you doing? How about the Mobiglass interface? The massive glare that happens in the background is really bad. I bet we don't see anything big with the Mobiglass until they put this new one in. Where is it? Yeah, I bet this is the next time we're going to see anything Mobiglass related. For anybody who hasn't seen it.
Now, kind of like the overview. So, you know, it's the overview of your player.
Oh, Sigelian, dude, it's been a little while. How have you been, man? Let me give you that shout out. I was actually just thinking about you the other day. I wanted to have a chit chat one of these days on the podcast. And we can talk a little bit about refueling and pyro and your expectations going into that with what they've talked about and all that jazz. Or at least once we get closer to pyro. Did he dash? Was he making pizza today? Was my man doing the pizza? Hey, Reese, how are you, man? Good to see you. Oh, 24 months. Can we get a round of applause, please? Reese, thank you so much. 2 years now. Been hanging, chilling, chatting, and supporting. I appreciate that, dude. The router for your Quantum is not working most of the time. Oh, it's his 5th anniversary on Twitch. Holy crap. Sigelian, congratulations, dude. 5 years on this platform. This crazy freaking stew-filled pot of insanity we know as Twitch. I'm happy for you, man. I hope you had a good stream. I hope everybody had some fun over there. Over here, we're just doing some Q&A, basically looking up all video evidence of any gameplay questions people in the chat have. So we've been looking at things like AI crew and ships, hacking gameplay. We did a little bit of looking into long-distance exploration and probing. Now we're looking at Mobiglass stuff. So a lot of interesting topics, and we're just kind of going any which direction it takes us. Hope y'all enjoy it. Welcome to the party. The star map needs a lot of work. Yeah, star map needs a lot of help. The problem with the poop mechanic is it will bring a mop asset, which will bring in Harry Potter nerds, not the direction we want to go with the game. They've already got mops, so I don't know. Harry Potter nerds might already be here in disguise, in the shadows, waiting for you to poop. How can a data device make the whole world go dark when you operate it? Sounds like Spectrum. So the way that quantum travel works is you can always quantum to the largest gravity field, the largest gravity source in the area. So when you're in a solar system, you have to quantum to a planetary area before you can quantum to the moons of that planet. And then you have to go to the moons before you can go to those space stations. Persistent marker will be an important part of data running. Yeah, it will. Harry Potter nerds already. What's up, Nick? How you feeling, man? I've been tracking your journey through COVID. I'm sorry to see that you are not feeling well today. I hope it's gotten a little bit better. Wingardium Leviosa with the tractor beams. Yo, the tractor freaking Wingardium Leviosa launch Shoot, I feel like those tractor beams could send things farther than your own Leviosa. All right, let's see what they were saying about the mobiGlas, though.
You have your ship, and then it's like your primary objective. So, and all of these widgets that we call them are kind of shortcuts to the kind of the main focus areas.
See alerts as you go to the other page.
So you can see here we've
Love
got
a notification.
your messages. So this is kind of like the email client, and then on the right we've got kind of like the ship chat that's coming in with, you know, general ship chat from the AI, which again is kind of just making it believe that you're in this, you know, believable environment or a real life environment rather than just you alone.
So responsive compared to the old one.
Yeah, and it's just a lot. It's a lot cleaner, and you know, the information. It's something that we've tried to be consistent across the HUD and the Mobi, is that we want to make sure that we're giving you clean information.
And you can see like the alerts. So the alerts are now cleared from the messaging app because we've read the messages, so it's gone. But there was an alert down on our mission side here, but now we've gone and looked at it. It's cleared.
So many Harry Potter nerds.
Framework.
I am one by proximity. My wife loves it, and so we generally have at least one Harry Potter marathon a year. But oftentimes that consists of us starting over episode 2 like 6 weeks in a row, never finishing it.
So like inside the, you know, you'll get, you know, notifications or alerts. Oh, look, I got a new message over here. I'll click over to it. Now we're back.
And the biggest thing as well is when you, it's like in everyday life.
So yeah, that's the mobiGlas. No idea when we're going to get it. This stuff I doubt is going to, I doubt we're going to see this in Star Citizen. This is a contract manager, but it's got a lot of stuff that looks like it's very specific to a more military focus. The briefing, the after action reports. If you go to this one, the ship chat, I don't know if that would be best for like how big our groups are, but it makes sense for the campaign in Squadron 42 where you have like 6 people talking. But maybe this is the whole Idris actually, which would then be a lot of people. Do you think captains will be able to set waypoints on the star map to instruct pilots on the course to follow in larger ships? I think it would go further than that. I think that the person who is setting the points on that star map can have a role, but I think that that responsibility can probably be dished out to somebody who has the role of a navigator as well. So say you're in something like an Idris or a Javelin, the captain's not flying nor charting the course, they're just making the commands. So they have a navigator who then puts the mark on the map, and then they have helmsman, I guess, who actually takes the ship to that mark. But I think, yeah, you'll always have the option of having the person who finds the path different from the person who's piloting it. However many hierarchy levels you want to have, whatever kind of cake you want to build. Thanks. Looks like the glare stuff from the background will be reduced when the mobiGlas is open. Yeah, and this doesn't even look near final. The animations are still a little rough, but
yeah, and it's just it's a lot cleaner, and you know, the information. It's something that we've tried.
It definitely is better than what we have.
HUD and the Mobi is that we want to make sure that we're giving you clean information.
And you can see like the alerts. So the alerts are now cleared from the messaging app because we've.
Wish they add and talk more about org features. Yo, the org feature stuff. Can we all take a moment real quick to come back to the Star Citizen Road to release? A little moment that I like to freeze in time every once in a while, just to remind us all of how important org stuff is. Come right up here.
To the high end, so I'm sure it'll take a bit of time to dial it in, but it's a major point for us. So let's move forward, and that should be in 3.3. So then the next big pillar, and there's 12 pillars that Erin, Tony, Todd, myself identified that we felt were really important. And the organization system, so this, we already have a version of it online, but this is the organization system inside the game. So you can get your org mates together, you can do things like assign out roles or missions.
Do things like what? What can we do with our orgs in game besides try our hardest to load into the same server every time? I hate that this is on the page for road to release, dang it. And then you look at what's after this.
Might as well drop.
Yeah. And then it's full persistence. The next thing after organization's full persistence. Where the heck did the organization stuff go? Dang it. It's not, obviously persistence is much more important. And then the next bit after that, which is server meshing, it's on here somewhere. Obviously that's more important too. Like this stuff is the big stuff, but still the organization system was clearly here as something that they wanted to be better with. And I'm not expecting anything amazing. I don't expect Pexerman game and all of this cool stuff to be able to work. But at the very, very least, I think we should have a broken out list for just org members that we can join on, right? That's not crazy. That's not crazy. Like, please just let us play more easily with our org, have a different identifier for our org, mark our org for us if we're in the same server as them, something that makes it feel like we're in an org and more than just a Discord server, you know? The hatred, the saltiness. Every tomato needs a little bit of salt. It frustrates me because, like, it's very clear that they've been following this path. I mean, looking at this whole thing, it all makes sense. All of the stuff that they talk about is there. 3.0 was there, object container streaming was there, ship rentals were there, and then after that, I think we got ship purchasing. Ship purchasing and rentals were there, but then organization systems just gone. Just not there. When server meshing happens, orgs loading into the same server shouldn't be as much of an issue, right? I mean, we're still going to have plenty of shards. So you're going to want to be able to choose which shard you're loading into with your org. PES might bring org stuff. Actually, since we might actually see databases that give us an ability to have shared inventories. But even then, you won't be able to load into your same org server unless you have them on your friends list. Like, what's the point of joining an org if you can't see who's in the org in the game? A little salt, mozzarella, olive oil, ooh, sprinkle of beza, caprese, I love it. You still appreciate VoIPing? Yeah, the VoIP system could be better. Org stuff probably won't come till after the Moby-Glass and UI updates. Org stuff can continue to enrage me. Let's look for something else. What other gameplay you guys want to learn about, talk about, see about, do about? What are you interested in, guys? What's something that's been racking your mind? I have way too many tabs up here open and they all just have different discussions with different information we could listen to. So you throw something out there and I'll see if I've got it. Power management? All right. Whoops. I just closed something. I don't know what it was. Power management, Simon said. Why don't we start with the old stuff? Since it's actually graphically a little more interesting. I think we watched this the other day, actually.
Purpose of prototyping, especially for anything gameplay related, is to prove that it's fun.
Hey, Reese, we did talk about NPCs, NPC ship crews, and AI blades. They didn't talk about when we're getting it, but they did talk about the differences between the two. We covered loading cargo recently. I think... Not recently. Not yet. Land claims is something we could look at, yeah?
If you
From CitizenCon?
don't have it fun with a cube and a sphere, you can put all the pretty paint on top of it. It's never going to be fun. So with the resource management, we have this idea that there is one
Thank you, Lanier.
way the resources are managed throughout the entire game. There's one
Oh,
way to
you were
consume
joking.
them, one way to produce them, and all the items everywhere, they use the same system. So we started by creating this small example of a ship where we have a power plant, we have a fuel tank.
Actually, Ace, the interesting thing is the other ship they're working on for power management is the Ares Starfighter. So I think that's their test bed for ships without interiors, and I'm interested to see how deep they go with it. I can't imagine it'll be too far, but interesting to see nonetheless.
We have lights inside the ship, we have turrets, we have weapons. We try to build a priority system, so you never want your lights to have the same priority as, for example, your power plant or your weapons. Basically, as soon as we start the simulation, the power plant goes, I'm online now, but I have no fuel. So all of this energy right now, the lights start draining the battery. If we put some fuel in the fuel tank, as soon as we put it in, the power plant starts going online, the battery starts replenishing because there's not that many consumers online. If I go, okay, let's say I set my weapons, my laser weapons to fire, as soon as I do that, there will be more drain on the energy. We can actually see we have a simulation of resources. We know we're producing this much power and we're requesting this much. We're running everything through exactly the same system. Now, same thing, let's say someone takes out our power plant because it got shut down or got sabotaged. Automatically now we're on battery power. It might go, okay, we don't need weapons now, we're going to turn them off. Lights, I only need the one in the front, so I'm conserving a bit of battery power until I can repair my power plant. Once I repair my power plant, this goes online and I can start turning stuff on again.
Engineering.
And this was our first thing we did, where we built the ship, and we built this tool in a way that allows us to build different ship configurations. So as you can see, you can kind of understand.
We don't hear much about
the
batteries,
basic shape
no.
of a hammerhead. As soon as I turn on the simulation, we can see we have both power plants are starting to produce power. The fuel tank starts to get drained. The battery is on full capacity. We have these relays. Relays are a new concept that we're introducing in the ship in order for all those resources to travel from the fuel tank to the power plant, from the power plant to the battery, from the battery to the lights. Everything travels through these relays. Now, each relay you have on your ship is going to consume power. So the less you have, the more efficient you're going to be. The more you have you're going to be more redundant. For example, in this case, let's say someone sabotages this and they destroy this part. You can see already this part of the ship lost resources. If we lose this one, this power plant is off. Let's say now I need to start shooting. So I'm manning my turrets and they're shooting. I'm starting my hammerhead doesn't have these weapons exactly here. We're just trying to simulate a ship at this point. You will start notice my lights started going off because in the priority my lights are very low priority. If you look at the battery is starting to drain. Let's say at this point it reaches 0. It ran out. Now this turret is off, it doesn't have power. This one is not running at what we requested because there's only one power.
Did we just get raided by freaking Super Mac, brother? Hello, brother, dude. Oh, good on you, man. How you been, man? I just throw you a shout out. Doing some Star Citizen stuff. I see you. Would have never guessed it. I don't know if you stayed, man, but hope you had a good stream. Hope you had a good time. Welcome, my pirate friends. All y'all with the Mac attacks with the Corsair sword and the eye patch. Pretty nifty, cheeky looking eye patch you got there. Welcome to the stream, folks. We're doing a little bit of reviewing, a little bit of looking, a little bit of talking about different features in Star Citizen. Any questions anybody has, we've got all the archives pulled up. We're just going through the different things that CIG has said about gameplay. So if you've got something you've been wondering about, wait till we got a couple minutes of quiet. Throw it in the chat. We'll see if we can find something about it. But if you're interested in learning more about the development of the game and what's going on with it, stick around for a little bit. We'll run a couple raffles, get you some points. Maybe you can get a ship in one of our upcoming giveaways. Either way, thanks for coming. Supermac, thank you so much for the raid. And welcome, my gardeners. Anno, I saw you hop in here. Welcome, dude. I had a good weekend. I hope you did too. Thanks for stopping by, man. Let's continue and finish up this resource management stuff.
Power plant running right now. Now, if I have a mechanic on board, he'll go, okay, this relay is broken, get power back to that power plant. As soon as we got power back to the power plant, we're starting to get our resources back, lights start going back online, we're back in business at this point. But let's say we have, I don't know, a smarter saboteur that goes, well, I kind of see how this ship is configured, I'm actually going to cut it in half. And this is usually like a worst case scenario. The system is smart enough to understand the idea that once a ship is cut in half, this front part of the ship has its own resource network, and this part of the ship is its own resource network. So it runs them independently. So everything in the back gets powered by these 2 power plants, but anything in front is completely dead because our battery is dead. As an engineer, your main goal is going to be to keep your ship as operational and as efficient as possible. So let's say now I'm transporting goods. I'm just moving from A to B. It's a pleasure cruise, no problem. I never want to travel like this. Each of these relays is going to be a drain on resources. So I'm going to turn this one off because I can turn this one off and I can turn this one off. And power and resources still have a route to travel. And I'm still keeping everything online. I'm trying to minimize the number of things that I'm powering on the ship. So this would be a viable configuration in which I'm still keeping everything on the ship fully functional. But let's say I go into battle. With this configuration into battle,
What's
if
up,
I take
Faz?
a hit here and this...
You made it to a stream. Welcome.
I instantly lost half of my firepower. So it's a good thing to use when you're not in danger. When you're in danger, you just switch stuff to a more redundant system.
I got something about batteries coming up in a second.
Overclocking and setting power levels, setting resource levels for each items, setting priorities. I think that the engineer is going to be a crucial part of the ship. So this is where we are right now with this prototype. This is going to take quite some time to implement. This touches on a lot of systems, a lot of stuff.
We literally just got to start seeing it 2 years later. I'm going to have, this might be a bit of a hot take. I don't know. But Reese, you said something there that people are going to be making permanent crews. I think that there's going to be a decent amount of people in Star Citizen who will just not want to watch or not want to fly ships. There's already tons of people who play this game that don't really care for flying ships. To be completely honest, I did not sign up to this game to fly ships. I love it. I think it's a great part of the game, and I love doing it, and I always will. But it wasn't the reason I signed up, and I think a lot of people are just looking for a space game to do space things in and won't really care for flying ships. Yeah, I think there's going to be plenty of people who permanently man ships, be parts of crews that just get dropped off places, that get ferried places, that work on ships. And to be quite honest, I think it's okay for ship flight, entering atmosphere, landing on planets, all that kind of stuff to be a little bit more intimidating so that more people are willing to just be ship crew, because we do need people who are just ship crew. That's some of you. Base building is one of the biggest things for you, Faz. Yeah, base building is going to be huge. People are going to spend a lot of time on planets. There's most definitely people who don't want to fly ships. I literally know people for whom that's outright a source of anxiety. It's intense sometimes. Your Sea of Thieves crew just want a ship to fly together. Yo, this is such a great transition from Sea of Thieves if it ever gets to that point. The way ships are defined differently, I'm worried you might get stuck as like a Carrick engineer or something. Yeah, if you want to be super efficient. But I think as long as you know the basics of how to do engineering, you learn a ship pretty quickly, right? A day or two. You signed up to captain a ship or explorer, but you've grown to love flying all sizes of ships. Some people will just be like, this ship isn't big enough for me. I'm not flying it. What is this, a Pisces? I'll sit in the back. Land this ship and another big ship, and then maybe I'll fly. You agree? Love the idea of having an official crew. Ah, Authentic Young. Hello. And welcome. Let me give you that shout out. I know you. But yeah, having like a permanent crew in your ship going out on adventures for like a couple weeks at a time and just having the roles down to a T. Just chatting, playing the game, finding some things, making some money. And like everybody just gets to play a game together. That is awesome. Especially if it works. It's an extra bonus, right? This is why you're so excited for something like the Starliner. You want to have the option to take public transport between locations. There's also that. Public transportation simulator. Yes. You love the thought of being a medical officer in a med bay for your org. Honestly, with the kind of glitches that we run into with Star Citizen, I'd be a little terrified to be a medic. You like walk into work and this dude's head is just spinning around permanently. It's like, hey man, my friend's stuck on the chair, but can you help me? My neck has been turned 5 times. I can't stop it. It just keeps happening. this other dude's got legs that are longer than his body. The Star Citizen Glitch Trauma Ward. That's what they'll call it. They just need to get the crew gameplay to be like Barrow Trauma. I have not seen that one or heard of it. When you understand the scale of Star Citizen, you could spend most of your time in game within the same system on the same planet. When you understand the scale of Star Citizen, you could spend all your time talking about it, right? Oh, really though? We spend a lot of time talking about it. All right, what else do we have? What else you guys want to listen to? What do you want to learn about? Come on, give me something interesting. Give me something good. Let's look it up. I've got, what is this? Oh, somebody was asking about insurance. What do I have for insurance? I don't think they've really talked about insurance in the last few years. Insurance claims for ships. Yeah. Mainly just like the current insurance we have. Have I heard about this Anvil MVC or something leak? I have not. No. The supposed crafting vehicle. Heard nothing about it. You'll just be amputating limbs and adding cybernetic limbs to people. You know what? Somebody asked about limbs. Now I have a better way to look it up. Cybernetics. Because we just couldn't get enough cyberpunk in Cyberpunk. Let's see. Ship trip? No. Is it?
It's sleeve
and yes. Yes, it is.
That
oh, geez.
Ones that just similar skeletal overlay will be available to players out in the field when they use their hand scanners. But for now, hospitals only. This is just a first look, but you can expect to see the entire loop explored here on
yeah, I'm looking up, I'm using a website called Starchives that basically lets you search stuff throughout their things. Sometimes I have the memory, but I can't take the credit for it this time. It's called Starchives or starchives.org, and it'll show you some of the things, all the things. That's a hard poll to answer as you have a different insurance for each. What is the poll? How long is your ship insurance? Oh boy, yeah, that is a hard one to answer.
On ISC starting next week. And since Alpha 315 is introducing healing, medical, and the next iteration of inventory, we're talking the next major step forward towards what we've been calling...
That one's got a real claw hand.
And while we'll be learning all about those over the next 2 weeks, the character team has started concepts for the long-awaited cybernetic limb replacements coming in later iterations.
Oh, that's a wild arm. Look at those fingers.
The team has some favorites here. Explorations are going to continue beyond what you're seeing.
Deus Ex.
We want a varied array of options for beginners, more advanced options, different sources like Government Issue or Pirate Outlander, and more.
Okay, I feel like this is Deus Ex in the middle here, and then this one right here is Prey. Or no, not Prey, Dishonored. Just gives me Dishonored vibes. I'll take the Deus Ex one though.
Different sources like...
this episode is 2021. Yeah, September 2nd, 2021.
Government Issue or Pirate Outlander and more. I mean, look at all these. Does that one only have 3 fingers?
Oh my gosh. You're straight up, this is gonna get caught on like your jacket zipper. How would you ever have an arm like this? You could... What? This looks like the broken differential on some hurricane van that's been sitting in the parking lot of, what's that place called? Daytona Beach for 2 years. Just disgusting. Oh my gosh. You could stick another arm into that arm's support. Looks straight up Terminator. Yeah, like it's gonna terminate the rest of your shoulder. This thing's infected. I would never put this on. Who is this? Whose arm is this? Some Drake flyer. Yeah, made by Drake. There you go. This is the Drake loaner. This is what the Drake people give to their employees when they get injured on the job. Like, yeah, we got one of these sitting out back. Just put it together with a couple of extra Knox parts from the last couple decades. I'm sure it'll work. Just, you know, if you feel burning in your shoulder, rip it off. And you should be able to spare your life. This is disgusting. This thing looks like it was literally a remodeled oil can. And they're like, you know what? This looks like a bicep. Yeah, this will be perfect. Just strap it on there. Just tie a belt around it. You know what, though, if it works? I really do. I can't wait to see the difference between people wearing this and people wearing these, or rather these, around the verse in different cities and stuff. Do they recycle parts from the ships? Just Drake ships. Bold of me to assume Drake has health insurance for its employees. Yeah, I'm probably going a little too far there, huh? That arm must have been made by Misk. Oh, shots. Throwing shots. Any news on physicalized skin? Ew. That's my news. Gross. Physicalized skin? You mean the clothing system that Chris was working on with layering clothes? I don't think we've seen anything else about that, actually. It's a good question because he was talking about that last year. High end at Dumpers Depot. I mean, let's be honest. I'm talking crap about them, but we've all got to have just like a freaking disgusting, homeless, just trash character, but is the most badass. I'm gonna have an extra character at every level of the experience of Star Citizen. Somebody's gonna be living at large, up top, schmoozing with the Hurstons on top of their building, tossing peasants off for fun, you know, the normal kind of stuff. And then I'm gonna have like that middle classer. It's like working their way up to a ship, grinding hard, because they've got a crew with them and they want a carrack. And we're going on missions and making that money and getting paid. And then I'm gonna have like the low class person who's at Hurston's place. They're at Lorville, but they're outside in the shantytown. They're running small missions, smuggling Widow into the Undercity, and exporting anything that people will give. Sometimes it's food, sometimes it's metal, sometimes it's people. Just trafficking in and out of Lorville, making a quick dime here and there, sometimes murdering. One of my characters will kill the other one. Like he'll kill the high class person on a job, and then I'll farm the money, redistribute it to my other accounts, and keep playing the game. No, I'm pretty sure I'd get kicked for that. But you know what I mean. You gotta have all kinds of characters. Exactly, you gotta get into some peasant tossing. Cyber arms are ridiculous. Every science fiction ignores the fact that you would also need a cyber spine to carry it. Joke's on you. Everybody born in Star Citizen is born with a cyber spine. Pretty crazy. The cyber arm is just compensating. Yeah, we haven't heard anything since Chris said he was working on that. I have no idea. Smuggling gameplay is still missing. You are right about that. Just because they look like that doesn't mean they are that heavy. They don't make AUGs out of steel. Yeah, they're made out of quantanium. Super technically amazing. Who else has got something? What do you guys want to talk about more? The room system? No, actually, we haven't talked about the room system. The fire is a really interesting one. Let me see if I can find. Oh, that's right. I was going to go to batteries. Hold on. November of 2020, they talked about replaceable components in ships, and that could be where we find that. So let me just... Where would that be? Here? Here we go. So this is talking a little bit about interaction, components, batteries, power transfer.
The interactions that we have in our game define...
This doesn't exactly talk about batteries, just kind of shows them off a little bit.
How reactive the environment is. define how simulated that space feels, how real and immersive it reacts, and is a big part of driving emergent gameplay of, I see a thing, I understand it, I expect it to behave a certain way, and then it does.
I don't think that the Banu Merchantman will come. I don't
to-
think that ship's going to come with the selling and stuff that it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the breakout feature of the Banu.
To demonstrate a playground of the functionality that we have. And also, here is an example setup of how those things are achieved. A designer is able to go in and see that if they've had any issue with their own implementation prior to bothering an engineer, they can take a look at the gold standard of here's a thing with nothing else working. See if that gives you some hints first before we start interrupting an engineer. If you go in and you find it broken, that's a good moment to call an engineer. All that in mind, we've been making an interaction zoo, a place to demonstrate all of the different nuanced and complicated interactions that we can get between a bunch of different entities that designers can go take a look at and draw inspiration from to pull into their levels, their ships, their whatever environments we're making. The reason I like zoos, philosophically, I believe as a game designer, the two core parts of gameplay are collision and doors. With our doors, we've got all these automatic doors, and those doors connect between rooms, and every time a door doesn't react the way you expect, it breaks your immersion and pulls you out of the game. Even with something simple like a control panel,
What's up, Frenchie and Ninja? How you guys doing?
enabling and disabling the proximity sensor so that you have control over whether or not it lets you through automatically or if you have to interact, and make sure it's all working properly. Beyond the control panels, there's the doors themselves, which give us many opportunities for complex and nuanced behaviors. So we've explored things where if you cut the power to a door, it'll stop its behavior. The lights will go out on the control panel and you won't be able to interact with it in that way anymore.
If I can find it. Here we go. So this is the first time they ever showed us them working on it. Is there a problem on YouTube? Are we having problems over there? That doesn't make sense.
Now is a fire volume that starts at the ignition point.
All right, I just changed over the bit rate. Let me know if on YouTube it looks any better. It's weird that this might be down to my internet. Less important ones. But I don't think this will do it. Tap thing was a joke? Well, too bad. I'm fixing it. Let's get back to the fire, though.
And grows from there,
Before we lose
using
the plot.
entities that allow for mesh spawning, which will then in turn allow fire and smoke particles to spawn directly from the surface of an item's geometry. The team's next step is allowing propagation from voxels to entities and vice versa. But honestly, this still just kind of looks like a pyromaniac's paradise to me. Speaking of pyromaniacs, and what might be the best or worst segue I've made all season, it's time for another look at early work on the planets of the Pyro system, in this case, Pyro 2. Now, in the original galactic guide for the Pyro system, Pyro 2 was said to be a coreless planet that once held significant mineral deposits and became the victim of a metal rush that quickly picked the planet clean, leaving it little more than an empty husk. And, well, we may have to revisit that assessment before all is said and done. Similar to our look at Pyro 1 last month, this is early work on the planet's surface alone, so you can expect plenty of changes and improvements along the way before it gets...
We're not even looking at fire stuff anymore, sorry. Okay. Hey, dude. He's back. Yeah, it's a weird amount of RAM. It's because one of my slots is cut off. One of the one is blocked by the CPU cooler, so I only have 3 slots open. They're all the same speed, but yeah, one is 8, the other 2 are 16. I'm trying to see if I can find the other YouTube video that they have that has them looking at the fire feature, because they talk a lot about it. There was so much coverage on it. Now I'm having trouble trying to find it. Here we go. Oh, I have all these scripts open
a more
too.
varied mix of flame types based on the surface the fire is emitting from, and
Okay, here we go.
capital ships and space stations. Of course, it's
What is this quality?
been a while since we've checked in on the team's work in fire propagation, and, well, they might be having a little...
Okay, at least, I guess for hacking next year. Salvage is coming next month. Refueling came earlier this year.
well...
Cargo hauling is in a bad place, but you can do that. Basically the idea of plants growing over time. So you would plant a plant, and then they were showing how they might grow to be bigger and more developed as you farm them. But this is the only... I'm sorry, guys. I think that's just my router. Our internet problems have been really bad lately, and we actually have to get a technician coming by. Some of you may remember we couldn't stream on Saturday. See if that stabilizes it at all. Yeah, so OCS did some work because it helped to stream things in and out and load things in without us having to go to a loading screen or anything like that. But really, it helps to make server meshing possible. Same way that Pez is helping to make it possible. Client-side, server-side, OCS, streaming, all that stuff keeps adding up. There's always a Jesus tech. That's the last thing before the content floodgates can open. I think anybody who believes that is setting themselves up for disappointment. There's always going to be something that is a barrier to more progress. I don't think it's worth it to say that once that barrier is passed, everything will suddenly explode in content. I think there's a gradual ramp up of content that you can see that's been happening for the last 2 years or so. But I don't think after we get server meshing, things are just going to explode into the limelight. And we're going to be blessed from head to toes, unfortunately. You were worried you missed the Saturday stream? Nah, had to cancel it. We haven't, I mean, even if it is something that has to do with the general region, we do know that we have an internet problem. Like, the internet company acknowledged that we had a problem last night and told us that they're working on getting it fixed. So whatever it is, it probably has to do with that. If you saw the way the wires looked in my wall, you'd probably be like, okay, there's probably, yeah, you probably need to fix something. It's just a mass of wires coming out of a giant hole in the wall. It's not a it's not a pretty sight. You like the podcast? They keep you entertained? I'm happy to be commute fuel. Anyways, the fire you guys wanted to see.
They might be having a little too much fun at the moment. What you're seeing here is what's called a visual target test. Now this is separate from the code work that we've shown in the past. The purpose here is to see what's possible visually with the current shader and graphics tech that's already in place. This looks pretty good, but more importantly, it's allowed the team to identify areas of much wanted improvement that's still needed, like the glow and emissives from heated surfaces, the quality and density of soot in the air, a more varied mix of flame types based on the surface the fire is emitting from, and more. In locations news...
Okay. So they showed us that. That was 2020, October 2020. So I believe in 2021, we got another update. A pretty good one. If I can find that somewhere here. Something about fire, something about fire. Fire power, fire effects. Fire hot bird. No. Hold on, let me see if I can find this footage of my own stuff real quick. 2021. What month? August 2021. Okay. Ah, it muted me this time so you didn't have to listen to me sneeze like an idiot. Okay. Let's see. Fire sprite. Fire together. Fire test. Fire propagation. Here we go. I think I found it.
It progresses.
And here we go. This was another update on fire we got to see.
That's especially good news for the
Why are you making ship interiors of flammable materials other than maybe the seat cushion covers? Shouldn't we try to avoid flammable interiors? Sometimes we just can't. You know how hard it is to find a non-flammable refrigerant that also isn't greenhouse gas emitting or poisonous? It's like you start getting into material stuff, there's always something wrong with it. But he actually talks about the different materials in ships here, so some of it might be flame retardant, some of it might just catch a little bit more
pyro
easily.
system, and the visual revamp to the Dying Star map in Arena Commander that's currently underway. In wrapping up our look at VFX this week, the team has returned from a brief hiatus away from fire propagation to create their version of a concept. A cinematic look dev, if you will, at the goals for fire propagation utilizing the tech features and progress already in hand. What you see here is a basic electrical fire in a relatively high-tech environment, exploring the type of propagation effects the team are currently pursuing. Now, as a test exclusively for how the fire moves and spreads throughout the ship, there are still a number of limiting visual factors here, like the still outstanding shader work that will one day make the fire feel even more alive than it already does. As the fire moves across the white surface that is flammable, you can see it dripping down to ignite the same surface below, while interacting with the black, glass-like surface on the ceiling that is understandably resistant. Combined with the heat and noxious gases affecting players via the actor status system, it's an exciting look ahead at some of the new dangers and hazards players will encounter and have to deal with on a regular basis as Star Citizen's development continues. But before we let you go, let's jump ahead and see what happens when you ignore the fire and let it go about its business for about half an hour.
I thought they showed off the movement of smoke in this one. Because that's a thing. But I don't see it here. As it was mentioned in chat there, the fire system depends a lot on the life support system as well, because those two things, they've really closely intertwined them. That's part of the danger of fires, is the smoke and how it can eat up your oxygen as well as the fire can. And that smoke can actually be transferred through vents to other parts of your ship. So there's going to be a whole mess of sort of gameplay complications that come with the fire system. And they've been building it out and testing it and kind of giving us sneak peeks about it over the last few years, kind of in line with the Colonialism Outpost system. So I imagine it's kind of on the same sort of a timeline. And we probably will see another update on it next year. Yeah, somebody better have an fire extinguisher, which they've shown us. Very cool looking fire extinguishers too. Okay. I'm going to find another one. Because I don't think we have any existing questions. Looking for anything else new. EUPU is always fun. Oh, we already looked at this one. Where was the other EUPU? Or USPU team? Here we go.
And there's also like
Plans for fauna?
confusion about what information you might display. For example, when things come online in the future of
Wow. Stop.
having like a concept of discounts where like, oh, this player is going to be paying a better price because like, oh, they're in like the Kasaba members bonus program, or whatever, they have a voucher coupon, something. They'll be seeing a different price than what you would be paying. So are you going to be seeing the price on the screen that they're paying, or the one that you'd be paying? There's a lot of weird questions where it's not certain what exactly you would want in that scenario. And then, the privacy concern, like Rob said, is a big thing.
I think it's all solved by having Steve Bender create a cover your ATM screen animation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, along with like...
Where's the cargo room for the Aurora? They're going to strap a box on your belly and tell you to ship it like that.
Touch the screen with your nose. Maybe like a privacy hologram. There we go, like a privacy hologram bubble.
Yeah, the creature concepts are really all we've had so far.
The ability to sell stuff back to shops, components, ammos, etc. When you buy something by mistake and then return it and can sell it back, maybe even at a lesser value.
When do my past broadcasts expire? They're all available on YouTube, Road Duck. They'll never be gone.
It's partially implemented.
But you probably want to clip them. I don't know. I think it's a week maybe or something like that. Has trading been discussed? We haven't really talked about it yet. Why don't we look for something on that? Why did I lose sound? Gosh, go XLR. Oh my gosh.
Back feature. I don't want to have to go, oh, well, I need to take this item and go sell it over here, and this item and go sell it over there. If it's a weapon, I want to sell it back to the weapon shop. If it's a ship thing, I want to sell it back to the ship shop, right? And we can't group them by item types right now. So just weapons as a full sale thing. And that's the kind of functionality that I would wait until we have so we don't have to go through every single shop and, add a bazillion items and yes, can buy, sell. Like, no, just here's an archetype of a shop, and there you go. This is what you can sell back to them. It's more the way we kind of looked at it, at least in previous conversations, was that commodities are the profiteering, right? That's what you go out and make money with. Items are more of a money sink within a game, and it's true of most MMOs, right? You can go and sell it to another person for a profit. That's free enterprise is always available there, right? And that's where the player trading system comes into play. But as far as selling back to shops, that's more notably a money sink in most games.
I'm not seeing too much on trading.
Something very similar to that.
Okay. Back to quantum travel for a bit. Will we be able to quantum travel to moons directly instead of first going to the planet?
That breaks all the rules of the nav hierarchy that we instituted when we worked on quantum travel last. We want to make routing a big part of this.
Most of the stuff we've heard about in terms of trading has been kind of like what he was just talking about, just the basic things that we've been doing so far in the game for ourselves. So I don't think there's anything that they've really talked about in recently, which is actually very, very disconcerting. They are so quiet about trading or cargo hauling or anything that has to do with that when that's like the biggest part of the whole game. It's so weird. It's so freaking weird. The things that they decide to communicate on and not. I know it might be because there hasn't been any progress that's worth mentioning or talking about. But like, honestly, if there's been no progress when it comes to cargo hauling in the last 15 months, then that also is a little disconcerting. I would really like to hear more about anything that has to do with trading. How is work going on the shopkeepers and patrons who are going to be involved in that process, or the kiosk that's involved with us trading when it comes to hangars, or the selling system like he was just talking about, and how those prices are updated. Will it be factored in the quantum system? Is the quantum system being built with that taken into account right now, or is it kind of on the back end? Is it not a priority? We just don't know much about that kind of stuff. A program is being created for the human bots. Will there be a separate one for aliens as well as for animals, or will they use the same structure? I think they're making something different. Back when they talked about fauna, I think it was 2020, spring of 2020, they talked about setting up an AI system for them. But I don't remember specifics on that. Sorry. Yeah, it's nice that we're going to be able to free quantum jump now. Cargo hauling is your absolute favorite thing to do, flying big fat trucks. You wish it was worth your time. Same. So do I. You'd like to hear more about smuggling? As would I, my friend. As would I. Are there any other things that people want to hear about? Look into? Ask a question about? Going once? Going twice? Cargo Refactor is literally the next patch and they hardly discussed about it. Yeah, it's supposed to be inside Star Citizen this quarter, so we'll see. I hope we see it by the end of the month. Server meshing was done from Dual Universe in 2019 and from Ashes of Creation, and they are not from 10 years in development. That's fair. They have scenarios for everything else, but what does physicalize cargo running? Yeah, the Cargo Refactor is... We've only got one mention about it on the monthly report last month. That was like the first time. All want to know the same question, when? More about professions? Well, there was a good one here about salvage we can check out. Let me go back into their videos. Do I like boiled carrots? I like a caramelized carrot. Those are really good. Not surprising. I like sugar things. Refuel? Well, that is not how you spell refuel. And repair? Yeah, got it right. Ashes of Creation is more focused with things to do in game, and visual things is for the last. That is good or bad versus Star Citizen. I don't know anything about Ashes of Creation, to be honest. I couldn't talk much about it. How about the Kraken? When are we going to see that? Oh, I give it 4 years. Write something special below and give it some glitz in chat. Is that what it told you to do, Rogue Duck? Gameplay drone operator. That's from... We could look that up in the Vulcan, actually. Honestly, guys, I would have hopped into game by now. I realized that there's not many questions coming in, but like I said, we were having internet problems, and like you just saw, my internet's not very stable, so I'm not even going to try the game today. We'll get into that on Wednesday. Raised me 6 months, 4.5 years. All right, so we've got Vulcan stuff here. We'll just watch this refuel and repair real quick. Ashes is a completely different game. It's not even the same scope. Not comparable to SC in any way, really, other than that it's online. I have no idea.
Questions from you, the Star Citizen backer, and put them directly to our developers, usually over teleconferencing. We were doing it.
You can explore Race Hunter, just get your GTA on.
Joining us on the show this week,
We can see that the game has implemented the mechanics for chests and others that are opened with a code or password. Why isn't this mechanic given to us for our ships and inventory? My opinion is that they need a persistent. What do you think? Yeah, I think the chests and mechanics are probably, or the chests and other things are props. So that's probably programmed and made by a completely different team. For the vehicles to work with it, the vehicle team would have to take that technology and build it into whatever they do with vehicles. And then the vehicle content team would have to implement it into the vehicles. So it's just the workflow. Whoever put those codes into the chests and stuff probably were working on a team that was just farther along with their content that they could do that, as opposed to the vehicles that just didn't need it at the moment. My internet's struggling because it's 9,000. See, here's the thing. It'd be nice if they told me that it was because it was 9,000. Because what happens is I sit it at 5,000, 6,000. Remember, I'm streaming to 2 services, so it's double what I normally do. And then they're like, oh, this is too low. It's not working. Please stop this. Help us. And then I turn it down and they're like, oh, this is too high. Or no, sorry. Then I turn it up and they still say it's too low. And I'm like, there's no way that's too low. I know for a fact that's not too low. See, if I turn it down here and try to keep it at a stable 7,000, we'll see how it does. You've heard them mention cargo elevators a dozen times. Why is it so hard to install cargo elevators into our personal hangars? Because we don't have personal hangars yet. So in order for us to get cargo elevators, they want to be storing cargo in hangars. In order for us to store cargo in hangars, they have to make those hangars persistent. In order for those hangars to be persistent, first we need persistent entity streaming, and then they have to build the persistent hangars. So there's a path to making sure that cargo elevators can be in hangars that like the tech doesn't even exist for yet. Have fun trying to control arbitrary numbers. Bitrate's annoying.
Hey Jared, all good here. How are you?
Yeah, getting by. We are talking refuel and repair this episode. So my understanding is that you and your team are in the early days, the early trenches of actually finalizing the design for refueling that we'll be pursuing for the Persistent Universe. So wanted to see if we can pick your brain, see where we're at, see what the current implementation is, because we've heard a lot of things over the years. What do you got for us?
So yeah, you're right. We're in the early stages of this. We have a general high-level idea, and at this point, one of our senior designers is heavy at work on pretty much ironing out every little detail that's going to come into play for refueling. From how does the UI look, how does the flow of the UI, where is the UI positioned in the ship, how exactly does the Starfarer boom arm function for refueling.
Wait, Rob Reininger is gone?
I'll try to take you through a bit how this works. Players will be able to go to a station and using the refuel rearmor stock UI that will need to get redone for this because it was very simplistic and only doing little things. They'll be able to fill up their Starfarer with either hydrogen fuel or quantum fuel. They'll be able to also equip their Starfarer with...
Okay, we know about refuel, so let's skip to repair.
Cool. All right, Dan, I think we got it. Thank you so much. We're going to throw it over to Johnny Gisevius now and see where we're at with repair, so I can let you go. And moving on to the second half of our show, we are calling lead FPS systems designer, Mr. Johnny Gisevius. Man, with the coolest name in all of CIG. Johnny, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm not bad, Jared. How are you?
I'm all right. Couldn't get my hair to match because I recorded the first half one day and I recorded the second half another day, so I'm just wearing a hat. So nobody will notice. Nobody will notice.
Told us.
These aren't all recorded on the exact same day at the exact same time. All right, Johnny, we are talking about repair. We just got done talking to Dan. Dan and his team, they've finished the majority of their technical design.
Traviana, I don't think that we will see skills affect our physical appearance, because that would destroy animations. There's a lot of animations that would just get wrecked if they started making people different sizes. I think they'll just stick to the 2 main sizes.
They've got sign-off from CR, and they're beginning their work in earnest to get refueling going in line with the release of Pyro, hopefully. Fingers crossed. No promises. That's just our target. You and your team are working on repair as a counterpoint to salvage. It's not quite where Dan's team is. It's a little earlier in the process. So why don't you go ahead and tell us where it is, where we're going, what considerations you guys are currently investigating?
Lee, when it comes to 30Ks, they're not really expected to happen that often in the future. When server meshing and persistent entity streaming are actually functional, you won't notice a 30K, because what will happen is the server you're on will crash. The actual game system that you're sitting in, the DGS that you're in, won't go anywhere. It will you'll disconnect briefly, but it will spool up another server right there and then, and everything that was already happening will continue to be happening in that simulated space. That's why the replication layer exists. That's why the entity graph exists. That's why server meshing exists, all to avoid the possibility of you disconnecting and not getting loaded straight into the same thing. If you do, however, your computer goes off, something happens where you're straight up disconnected on your own end, then the game will automatically return you to the last landing zone or space station you were at, supposedly. That's part of the plan.
Right now, and just give us what you got about repair.
Sure thing. So yeah, and like you
Dang,
said,
Rob is gone?
Stages at the moment. We're still
That's a bummer.
up on the design, so everything I say here might not make it to when it actually arrives in the PU. But yeah, essentially salvage and repair. It's the kind of like the first version of salvage that we're actually doing. So what we're calling it internally is it's more like hull stripping. So you're actually going up to ships and vehicles, and you're either stripping away parts of the hull, which lowers its health, it's like its integrity essentially. Visually as well, because it uses the V2 damage map.
Rob Reininger was on the USPU team, I believe.
It burns it away, takes that material away, and stores it in the canister, even if that's on the, the multi-tool has a material canister, and the larger dedicated salvage tool that we're going to be doing has an even bigger one, so you can store even more of that stuff. And basically, yeah, you can either strip away from the hull, or you can use that material, or you can buy full canisters of material to come and use that as a repair resource as well. So if your ship takes a few hits in combat, you'll be able to pop out cockpit, EVA over to it, get your repair tool out, and kind of fill it in. If you come across, the idea is at least if you come across something like a derelict and your ship's damaged and you don't have any repair resource, you could strip away some of that ship and spray it onto yours. So it's not.
We got that.
Oh,
we're
like,
getting that.
I've just, sprayed this magical.
I don't even know if it's in Evocati yet.
To the ship again, and it looks like it's brand new. It's going to look a little bit more battle scarred. And the idea is we want to use a different material on that to show, like, look, you've patched this up yourself. It doesn't look like a pristine ship anymore. If you want it to get back to its pristine state and 100% health again, then you're going to have to take it back to a shop to get someone to properly repair it for you.
Interesting. So, a little bit to unpack there. So repair is intrinsically tied with salvage. It is basically salvage is one mode, and then you flip the darn thing into reverse, and you're in repair in the other mode. But you said something interesting. When you repair your ship, when you run your salvage beam, either from the multi-tool or from the dedicated tool, and we showed some of the dedicated tools recently on ISE. You were there. When you run it past, it doesn't restore your paint job and everything. It's going to be some like third
yeah, Hazelnut. I believe we won't be able to sell that stuff
with its paint and tack. And then we've got the damaged ship. As it degrades, wears and tears, whatever happens to the ship, it takes it to the stress point up to when it's about to explode. But then salvage can bring it back, or not salvage, repair can bring it back, not just to where it was originally, but to some other third state where it's kind of like unpainted metal or so. Well, that's part of what we're exploring right now.
Yeah. So there's a lot of technical considerations that I don't want to write checks for at the moment because we have to talk with the graphics team, we have to talk with a bunch of different people to make sure that that system will work. But that is what we want to do from design
The
side.
fuel intake stuff is confusing, Abyss. All I know is that the Origin ships have a built-in refinery to help them refuel, and most ships won't be able to refuel just as they fly around with hydrogen.
So it does give you those, like, it feels
nice
cool,
if we
right?
could sell
like,
it.
I've been flying around for a while, like I've taken a few hits, but I've scraped through and I'm patching
Right.
up myself. It looks, I think it'll make a few ships look, battle scarred and awesome. And it also kind of ties into the fact that you might not necessarily be able to restore that part back to its full health again unless you go and either get a replacement for it or you go.
Oh,
and
that's
get the
fair.
proper
That's
repair.
you make a good point, Stark Realities. I guess I was just thinking of the handheld tools stuff, but it's all the same stuff. So yeah, we should be able to sell it, I guess. Good call.
For it as well, so it gives you visual feedback on both sides. Like, I've been out and about and had some scrapes, and also this is a little bit weaker than it was to start with.
Gotcha. So, what makes now the time to get into this? Because we've talked about repair. I mean, since the beginning of the project, and we carry a lot of ideas forth with us throughout the years. You can go back through Wingman's Hangars and old ATVs and see many of Chris's comments on it throughout the years. But what makes now the time to actually buckle down and start, putting things on paper and start actually pushing the process forward?
Well, to be honest, it's been a long time coming, and it's a system that's basically been needed. And the more persistence that we get inside the PU, and the more we want you to be kind of, well, we've got the health system coming in for starters soon, which obviously makes you care about everything you've got, and taking care of all of your items, a lot more important because it's all persistent. So if you do get into a few scrapes in the PU, you're not going to just want to, abandon your ship and, die on a planet somewhere. You're going to want to have an option to be able to repair it and, fly out of there. So I think it all just ties into all of the other systems that are coming into the game at the moment, and the fact that it's a system that's been looming for a long time, and this is the starting point for it. Obviously, it expands out when we start looking at ship salvage. There'll be similar systems there where you might be able to use, hull scraping lasers to take that stuff off, but then there's things like the reclaimer with the claw, and you just kind of progress from what we're doing down here all the way up to that. So yeah, this is a really good starting point, for us to just start, noodling around with, playing with, seeing what works, what doesn't, and then, go from there basically.
I have to imagine you're also in a similar situation to refueling, in that the pyro system is coming and there are fewer rest stops, fewer repair stations along the way, and you're going to need more options to maintain your own ship, because you're not going to have an easy stop off point to instigate repairs like you have in the standard system.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot more remote and barren, isn't it? And you're going to want to be able to be a bit more self-sufficient.
Well, we'll see
at the moment. So, yeah, and I think it even ties into a few things that we want to do down the line too, because we've not even mentioned where we want.
People are talking about Ashes of Creation because Salty Mike's been comparing them. I've seen a couple comparisons. I don't really know anything about the game, but people have been talking about Ashes of Creation being ambitious and having some feature creep, kind of like Star Citizen did. What happened to the land that was being sold if people bought proud landowners in the game? Will they bring back the sale of land for real money? So like JP Sandman said, they didn't sell land. They just sold the ability for people to get land whenever it is a possibility in game, which won't happen until the game goes live. So probably not for several dozen years, I guess. But I think they'll probably allow people to buy beacons again. I don't see why not. It doesn't seem, I don't think they should have done it the way they did, or announced it the way they did, or done it as early as they did, but I don't see the downside of selling land claim beacons unless they're super expensive in game, because you still have to actually get the ship and do the work and survey an area and go find that land to claim it. So as long as they're not selling land to people. Remember them showing off the Pioneer ship? Yeah, it was with the Pioneer. I'd like to see some recent development from Beyond Good and Evil. Yeah. Gosh, that is a no-show for now. Hope your grandchildren are as into science fiction as you are, so someone can inherit your SC account. I'll take it. Thoughts on how accessible Pyro will be at first, considering there's no real way to move small ships through the jump points? I think it won't be too bad. We'll have to see how close the nearest space station is to Pyro's jump point, but there will be infrastructure on the Stanton side where you can refuel and stuff. And you'll be able to get into Pyro and at least go a couple 100,000 kilometers in exploration before you need to start worrying about your fuel and stuff. And there will probably be people with tons of Starfarers out there in Pyro waiting for people to refuel. Wait, you will need beacons and Lawless systems too, or those beacons? Those beacons are only for UEE systems. Lawless systems, it's fair game. I've been wondering since I saw the Titan suit on the roadmap, are we going to have kind of robots like the Transformers? No, I don't think so. I think those Titan suits are the only bit. You'll give your Star Citizen account to a worthy space program for teaching. Will Planet to Moons always be handmade instead of AI created? Because that feels very restrictive in terms of getting hundreds of star systems in the game, like had been initially promised. We can actually look that one up here. So the way that they're building them out, they're kind of building the tools right now in order to build systems more quickly. So right now it feels like they're very slow and handmade. But if you go into some of these Planet Tech showcases that they've been showing, if my computer decides to ever load it. Or we could just sit here, black screen. You guys like this? Is this your ideal stream? This is the kind of entertainment you're into? Thanks. Thanks, internet. Let's try reloading. Maybe that'll help. Here we go. So this kind of shows the method that they use to build planets. And unfortunately, I can't see the thumbnail, so I can jump around to the right spots. But essentially the way it works is the artists are building tools that are not AI controlled, but they're definitely algorithmically built. So they have a feature, this tool, where every part of a planet, and you can see here in the corner right here, this little square. Can you see that? You can barely see it because I'm kind of in the way, sorry. My big old head. Let me... And it's gone. See this square right here? What the heck? Dang it. Show us the square. I promise it'll be just making me look like an idiot. This internet. Okay, you see this square over here? How it has different quadrants in it? So this is a humidity temperature graph. And they can basically say that at any humidity or any temperature or any combination there of those two, it will be a different biome on that planet. And then they can relate that to the height maps that they have, which you can see. I don't know if this is a height map per se. This might be texturing. But they can relate that to height maps and say at this point on a hill this tall, the temperature will be this level on this latitude. But at the same point on a hill, this same height, and this point of the planet will have this humidity. So there will be snow there instead of just a dry dirt, tundra. And they could do the same thing when it comes to grasses and bushes and water and dirt and all kinds of stuff. So what they can do over time is continue to build templates that can use these tools, and those can build the planets. And then after they automatically build the planets for the system, the artist can then start to come in and do more of this kind of close down hand editing stuff that we've been seeing at this past CitizenCon and that we're about to see here in this video. So they'll never be fully procedurally generated. They'll never be generated by AI, but they will be made using the tools that they're building now to set up the planets with some more artist handcrafty and stuff. I trust you. There's a square. Don't worry, Space Tomato. We get it. There's a square there. Okay. First moon for the game took a year and a bunch of people. Now moons can be pumped out by one person in a week. Yeah, it was an interesting episode where they talk about going in their moon creation process from 2 devs needing 3 months to make 3 moons to 1 dev needing 1 month to make 3 moons. That was between the R-Corp moons and the Microtech moons. But there are different signs here and there, from the people making moons to the people making planets to the people who are making those derelict ships that we're now starting to see more of, where you can see them speeding up because these tools are actually kind of starting to come to fruition and make a difference. You're developing a large-scale procedural planet library for JavaScript? Whew, that sounds thick. So you can see they're doing it right here. They're painting onto the humidity temperature graph for the specific places on the map. And for this one, it could be... So they're highlighting this area in blue, but in actuality, it's taking every point on the entire planet that falls under the same conditions as that blue point. So when you edit that spot, it edits everything else on the globe, which is super cool. You gotta stop swipe typing. I know how it is, Lucid. I know how it is. They can make the grass greener. They can. God bless. But yeah, this is it's a really interesting system, and I wish they actually, there's a good talk about it that I can find in their videos, and that could be the last thing that we look at here, because I'm about to go get some dinner. Let's see. I believe it is this one, Terra Firma. With river technology, we haven't seen waterfalls. Did they mention anything about waterfalls? When we'll be able to swim? Swimming has repeatedly been removed from the roadmap. I don't know about when we'll be able to swim. I do think they've mentioned waterfalls, but I wouldn't be able to pinpoint any time when they've said it for sure.
Yeah, that's
Come on.
This is V4. And what we see here are natural transitions that occur globally due to gradual change in temperature, humidity, and weather conditions. And because these are occurring over a large scale, informed locally by the shape of the terrain, every area where it transitions or where a biome appears is informed by the shape of the terrain and is truly unique to that area.
Terrain system to work at scale and on a spherical planet.
Not seeing where they're talking about the temperature, humidity.
Alpha 3.0 was multiplayer ready. You could already explore planets.
Here we are. Here's where they talk about it a little bit.
On this 2D graph,
they mentioned waterfalls. Cool.
We get to pick exactly what we want to appear. So down here, we might have, obviously snow textures, where we have different types of trees appearing in the temperate rainforest. We get to control
definitely too many rocks, Faz.
In this chart. And we have 128 graduations of temperature and humidity, which leaves us with 16,000 variations we have to fill to take what would appear on the planet at that specific condition, which is quite a lot to fill. So here's a quick demo showing how a small terrain patch, just by adjusting the climate data, we can very quickly adjust the visuals. I'll just play that one again. And you see that we always get logical shapes and colors coming in there. So yeah, the problem with this now, it generates as a new problem. We've got 16,000 sets of conditions we need to set up somehow. So for the artists, that represented quite a challenge. Our first approach was for them to have, they would manually create these rules where I want this tree to appear at this temperature range and at this altitude, and it was too unwieldy. So instead, we moved to a system where we literally paint the surface of the planet using a paintbrush. So this is a quick demo of this being used here. And because we don't want to paint the entire surface of the planet, when you paint on the surface...
Mrs. Tomato has walked dinner into the room to tempt me off the stream. And it's working. that's not going to show up on the camera. It's too small. She's going for it anyways. Sauce. There's sauces. Dinner is waiting.
Actually painting what you would like to appear at them climate conditions. So if you paint
Out the actual outposts that we go to.
This thing, but ultimately, like, you've got to sort of find those compromises a lot of the time with stuff. You see it all the time, like, well, that's fine, maybe it wouldn't happen in reality, but is it fun? Does it look cool? Then maybe we'll sort of make
And I kind of want to just point out here, I think this is super important to remember. So let's see if we go to Alpha 317, I think it was. Was it 317 or 317.2? Oh, this is not what I want. This? Yeah. So check this out. I hope I'm right about this. I think I am. So these... Okay, so these locations are the kinds of thing... These locations are the kind of thing that do fill in the planets, right? These sort of ruins here. And if we look at when this came out, July 29th, 2022. Most of the time when we see things, concept art, pictures, stuff like that, it's not coming for a while. But if you look for the first time they ever showed us the concept art for these ruins... Oh, not this. It was... Oh boy. This is awkward. I don't even think I can think it was here. The very first episode of ISC this year. No.
17.
I think I'm wrong.
Of a certain organization.
I actually don't remember.
To shift their
it was someday. It was someday earlier on in the year. They showed us this concept art for these ruins in, I think it was January of this year, and then we got them in July.
Whole series in game for
And
a long time.
that's super important to consider when we look at how the Planet Tech team got really fast at making their stuff. The Moons, I guess also the Planet Tech team got fast. The Derelict team clearly got their stuff together and started making more Derelicts. The Ruins team did the same, and now we're looking at a new version of Outpost, Underground Outpost coming out. I think people are being a little bit not looking at the trends. I think there is a possibility that those Underground Outposts we've seen mostly in concept art could be a consideration in the next year. At least in the next 4 updates. Maybe not the next year, but the next 4 updates that we see after 318, or including 318, I think could include those underground bunkers, and because they've shown that the team is better at making the stuff that they're showing off now than before. And that's my closing argument. That's my TED Talk. It's time to create a planet you think depends on a lot of the models, as well as if they have them ready or not for the given moon or planet. Yeah, definitely the assets help. But that's about it, guys. I think we went over a decent amount of stuff today. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Thanks for being here and watching, hanging out. We got 2 raids from Sigelian and Super Mac today. We got some subscriptions from Shempasta, Rebel Child, Reese, Instigator. Thank you all for subscribing. And Depa, of course, holding it down on YouTube. Thank you for all the support over there. Straight up making it worth it. Thank you. It means a lot. I appreciate you all being here, talking, chatting, and asking questions. I hope you learned something new in this stream. I hope you had a good time. I hope you have a good dinner, because I know I'm going to. And who should we raid? Who's online? Let's see. Noodle. I'm going to raid Noodle. It's been a while. Hit up the nudes. Tell him we said what's up. Looks like he's doing some dogfighting in Star Citizen. Give him a... Depa, again? Yo, I can't even... You can't make this stuff up. Thank you. Do I ever see you in Discord where I can, like, actually thank you? I hope to see you over there. But seriously, thanks for all the support on YouTube. It really means a lot. think Montreal is also further into modular settlements than folks think. They've been doing a lot with settlements, yeah. Thanks for the work and time on SC. Thank you. Thank you for coming and making it worth it and sitting around talking to me. It's just talking to some weirdo talking about games to a microphone and camera. Appreciate you all. And somebody just rescribed? Rescribed. Everin, thank you for the resub. Much appreciation. I'll catch y'all later. You are the best. I love you. I appreciate you. Have a good day, folks. Peace out.